Chapter 1. Tenten was sitting in a cabin in the woods and thought, Mom, why is it so hard to keep going? I want to prove to everyone and myself that women can be just as good as men, but it's hard when nobody really supports me. As she closed her eyes, a noise from outside drew her attention, and she looked out and saw a blonde-haired boy about her age with a huge scroll on his back, and she thought, what kind of idiot wears orange and what's he doing out here? Naruto looked around and said, this looks like the place I was told to come to. Now to learn a jutsu. As he walked over and unrolled the scroll and leaned against the cabin and began to read. Tenten inside the cabin rolled her eyes and thought, great, I wanted to be alone. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, that's a Jounin level jutsu. Whoa, how did he get his hands on a scroll with all those jutsu? As she looked out the window to where Naruto was sitting, and Naruto jumped up and said, alright, I think I got it, let's give it a try. As he walked a few feet away and put his hands together and said, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. As a deformed clone appeared, and Naruto frowned and said, damn it again. As he tried it over and over again. While that was going on, Tenten pulled out a scroll and a pen and began to copy what she read off the scroll Naruto left open on the ground and thought, Kage Shuriken no Jutsu and Kage Kunai no Jutsu, I could use both those with my weapons. An hour later, Tenten, who had finished copying several jutsu from the forbidden scroll, looked out at Naruto, who was panting, and thought, damn, and I thought Lee and Guy Sensei were stamina freaks, but at least he got that jutsu down. Just then Irika came in the clearing and screamed, I found you, Naruto. What the hell were you thinking? Naruto looked up and said, oh hey Irika-sensei, so I guess this is where you test me and I graduate, right? Irika blinked, as did Tenten, and Irika said, what are you talking about, Naruto? Naruto said, the makeup test Mizuki-sensei told me about. He said if I could successfully get that scroll from the Hokage tower and learn a jutsu from it, then I would pass. Tenten frowned and Irika looked confused and said, Mizuki. In a questioning tone when his ears heard the sound of weapons flying, and he screamed, get down. As he covered Naruto, just as a couple of weapons stabbed him in the back. Tenten's eyes were wide, and she thought, fuck, the one time I don't have a weapon on me. As she began to look around out the window and saw Mizuki standing on a tree. Irika pushed himself up and said, Mizuki, what are you doing? Why did you do this? Mizuki said, quit acting so confused, Irika, you should already know the answer. I'm here to kill the demon behind you. The question is, why are you defending him when he killed your parents? Naruto looked confused as Tenten's eyes widened, and Naruto asked, what's going on? Why did you attack Irika-sensei, Mizuki-sensei? Mizuki said, give me the scroll, Naruto. As he held out his hand. Irika pulled out a kunai and said, Naruto, whatever you do, don't give that scroll to Mizuki. It contains all of Konoha forbidden jutsu. Guard it with your life. Tenten's eyes widened and thought, those are forbidden jutsu. As she patted the scroll she made. Mizuki said, hey, you want to know a secret, the reason why everyone hates you, Naruto? Irika said, no Mizuki, you know it's forbidden. Naruto asked, what are you talking about, what's forbidden? Mizuki said, 14 years ago, the Kyuubi no Kitsune attacked Konoha. The Sandaime passed a law making it illegal to tell exactly what happened to the Kyuubi. The truth is, the Yondaime sacrificed his life to seal the Kyuubi in a newborn baby. You are the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Naruto was frozen in place as he heard this, as he remembered all the whispers and glares, and Tenten lips pursed together and thought, bullshit, even if what you said is true about the Yondaime sealing the Kyuubi, then it is only sealed, not turning him into the Kyuubi. Mizuki pulled out a demon windmill shuriken and threw it at Naruto, who was frozen when Irika shoved him down, and Naruto looked wide-eyed, and then he grabbed the scroll and took off running. Tenten saw as Mizuki and Irika chased after the direction Naruto went, and she left the cabin and grabbed a kunai that Irika had pulled out and dropped before she also ran in the direction the others left. When she got there, she saw Irika and Mizuki facing each other, and Irika said, you're right, a demon would do that, but Naruto not a demon, he is a proud citizen of Konoha who dreams to be Hokage. Mizuki said, then I have no choice but to kill you first. I was going to wait until the end, but you leave me no choice. As he drew back to throw another windmill shuriken when Naruto appeared, kicking Mizuki in the face, and said, don't you dare harm Irika-sensei again or I'll kill you. Mizuki laughed and said, you kill me. You're not even fit to be a ninja. I can defeat you with one hand. Naruto gritted his teeth and said, bring it, and I'll return what you give to me 100 times over, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. As the clearing was covered in Naruto. Everyone's eyes were wide at this, and Tenten thought, no way, there's over 100 of them, ouch, that's going to leave a mark. As she watched Naruto defeat Mizuki. Irika, seeing this, said, Naruto, come here, close your eyes a minute. Naruto did, and Iruka pulled off Naruto goggles and placed his hide on Naruto head and said you can open them now, congratulations. You pass. Naruto smiled and said just you wait Iruka-sensei, I'll show everyone I'm me and not the Kyuubi, and someday I'll become Hokage and earn everyone respect. Iruka said, I believe you will Naruto, now let's get that scroll back to the Hokage. As Naruto helped Iruka leave the clearing, Tenten, who was hiding in some bushes, smiled and thought I believe you will also Naruto, if you can reach your dream then so can I, as she looked at their retreating form before her eyes landed on Mizuki and she flipped the kunai in her hand around and then threw it at Mizuki, hitting him in the spine, making him scream out, and thought that will make sure he can't get away until Umbu show up. When Tenten got home that night, her dad was sitting at the table drinking some tea and said, you're home late dear, is everything alright? There seemed to be a lot of activity tonight. Tenten bit her lip and walked over and sat down and asked, Dad, earlier I was in the woods thinking when I saw a fight between a couple of ninja and a kid named Naruto. I heard some things about the Kyuubi and some law. Dustin frowned as he sat back and asked, and? Tenten asked, could you tell me what you know about it? I'll tell you what I heard first if you want. Dustin nods and Tenten told him what she heard, and Dustin sighed and said, I'm glad to see you're using your brain and not following the crowd. A lot of people are not as smart as you, and the way it sounds that Mizuki guy was one of the kids' sensei who most likely been screwing him over in the academy. Tenten said I'd believe it, his taijutsu had no form, his balance and moves were all wrong, his chakra control sucks, and don't get me started on the cloths. Dustin laughed and said yeah, but that's probably all he could afford or was allowed to buy. I'd let him shop here, but we don't let civilians in here, so he couldn't until he became a ninja. As he got serious, Tenten frowned and said, Dad, I don't like where my mind is going with this. I mean, if he's been screwed over already so much, what's to stop it from happening again when he gets his team? Dustin said, but what can you do or hope to do about it, dear? You can't tutor him because you're busy with your own duties here and as a ninja and then your personal training. Tenten sighed and said, I know, but maybe. As she looked in thought, Dustin looked at her and asked, maybe what? Tenten said, well, I can't tutor him, but maybe there is something I could do. The way he acted when Iruka acknowledged him and his dream makes me believe that he doesn't have very many people or any that do believe in him. I know what that feels like with people not believing in me and my dream. Maybe I can tell him that I believe in him and maybe give him a hint or two toward becoming a better ninja to work toward his dream. Dustin thought a moment and said, all right, I'll go along with that idea, and you could even make a deal with him about getting his supplies here. Tenten smiled and said, thanks, Dad, but what should I give him for advice? Dustin said, well, you were pretty good at pointing out his flaws you saw earlier. Why not write down how to correct those flaws so that way he can work on that? Tenten said, great idea, Dad, thanks for doing this. Dustin said, he's a good kid, he reminds me of an old friend some. As he took a sip of his tea, Tenten, who had grabbed a blank scroll and began to write down on it, asked, really, who? Dustin said, an old friend, that's all I will say. Tenten, who was writing, said, hey Dad, do you think we could give him a one-time discount to get him out of that Kill Me Orange outfit? Dustin said, only if he agrees to get all his equipment from us in the future. I'm not running a charity, and I don't want him thinking we are either. Tenten nods and said thanks. As she kept on writing. The next morning Naruto was awoke by someone knocking on his door, and he rubbed the sleep from his eyes as he opened the door in his frog boxers and wearing his black and white nightcap, and he blinked as he saw a girl about his age standing there in a Chinese shirt and said, can I help you? Tenten bit her lip to keep from laughing and said, could I come in and could you get on some shorts? Please. Naruto blinked and looked at his cloths and frowned and said, sorry about that, I have not had a chance to go to the bathroom yet. Tenten blinked and then blushed as she looked down and saw what he was referring to, and Naruto turned and went toward the bathroom, leaving the door open for Tenten to come in, and Tenten frowned as she came in and closed the door as she heard the bathroom door close and said, are you always this forward letting people come in? Naruto, who was in the bathroom, said through the door, I don't get a lot of visitors, so if someone actually comes here, they must have an important reason. As he flushed the toilet and grabbed a pair of his pants and slipped them on. When he came out, he saw Tenten, who was looking around, and said, so who are you and why are you here? Tenten said, oh right, my name is Tenten, my family owns the Wolf Claw Weapons shop, last night in the woods at the cabin. Naruto frowned and Tenten said, my family owns that cabin, and I go there to relax when I want to be alone, and I heard everything. Naruto closed his eyes and said, so what are you here for, to try and kill me also? As he sighed with a tired tone. Tenten said, actually no, that Mizuki guy was full of shit. I work with sealing all the time, and I know if something is sealed in something, that does not make them the same thing. The reason I'm here is I wanted to tell you I understand a little about what you're going through, I mean with your dream of being Hokage. I have my own dream of proving women can be just as good as men as ninja, and not very many people believe in me or my dream, but I keep on going, trying to get better and stronger every day, working toward my goal, and I wanted to tell you that from what I saw last night that you made me believe in you and your dream also, and so I wanted to tell you that I believe in you. Naruto was shocked as he heard this, and said, thank you, you're not just making that up, are you? Tenten shook her head and said, no, in fact, when I got home last night I talked with my dad to find out what he knew about what I saw and heard, and he told me he was proud of me for not being an idiot like Mizuki and knowing the difference. When you kicked Mizuki ass, I was actually in a tree ready to help fight the bastard, and after you left I used the kunai I had to stab him in the spine to make sure he couldn't escape before Ambu arrived. After talking with Dad, I made this for you. As she pulled out a scroll and handed it to Naruto. Naruto frowned and asked, what is it? Tenten said, well, when I saw how you moved during the events and when I was watching you practice the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu from the cabin, I saw a couple of areas I thought that you could improve a little bit on, and so I wrote down things that I know are ways to correct them, like chakra control and a few other things also. You had left the scroll open when you were practicing and I read and copied the first 3 jutsu from it and I included them on that scroll for you. I saw something that could help you really quick and I underlined it as part of the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu description. Naruto, who had took the scroll and began to read it, said, anything they learn is transferred back to the original. Tenten said, yeah, I figured that could help you get your chakra control under control quicker. Also, Dad and I talked and he said that when you were a civilian you couldn't come in our store because we only sell to shinobi, because we didn't want kids coming in and getting hurt on the weapons, but we would like to make a deal with you. If you agree to use our family shop to get all your future equipment, we would give you a one-time discount on your equipment to help you get started now that you're a fellow shinobi of Konoha. It isn't charity or a gift. It's just we want you to be a proud ninja and not someone who people will make fun of. We want you to show everyone you are you and not Kyuubi, so no more kill me orange. Naruto rolled up the scroll and looked at Tenten and asked, why are you doing this? Tenten said, because I want both of us to show the world who we really are and both of us to complete our dreams well. That is all I came here for. I've sealed 2 books, one on sealing and the other on chakra control theories, and those 2 seals on the bottom. All you have to do is add chakra and they will pop out. Now I have to get going to meet my team for training, and even if you don't accept this, I still wish you luck. As she got up and started toward the door. Naruto said, wait, thank you, you don't know how much this means to me, and also the fact you accept me for me, can we be friends? Tenten smiled and said, I'd like that. Naruto smiled and said, well, good luck, Tenten, and I hope to see you again sometime, and I hope you reach your dream. Tenten said, same to you, Naruto, good luck. As she quickly left. Naruto thought things are starting to get better and better. After Tenten left, Naruto read over the scroll several times and thought she put a lot of time and effort into this. I can see how well she thought over it. Naruto, when I watched what happened, I watched your movements and noticed several areas that you need to improve on, so I broke those areas down into sections to help you. Chakra control is one of your biggest areas of improvement. When you were doing that jutsu you were wasting too much chakra, where I was afraid the Kage Bunshin would explode, but they didn't somehow. Anyways, below are a list of chakra control exercises you need to learn and keep doing them. Don't just learn them and quit, because the more chakra you use the more chakra you have and the more control you will need to control it. With your guest, I figure you will gain even more chakra, so please work on this at least several times a week, if not every day. Leaf balancing. What you have to do with this exercise is put a leaf on your forehead and use your chakra to make it float above your head too much, and it will blow off. Out of control, not enough, and it won't move. You need to work on this until you can get it only about an inch off your head and keep it steady. Note, you can do this exercise on other parts of the body, but start with your head. Tree walking. This exercise allows you to walk up walls, trees, and other vertical things. Like the leaf balancing too much, and you will blow off. Not enough, and you won't stick. You send chakra to the bottom of your feet to stick. Note also, like the leaf balancing, once you learn to use your feet, you can use your hands, knees, and elbows to stick to the tree and pull yourself up. Water walking is just like the leaf balancing and the tree walking, but instead of climbing up a tree you are walking on water. Too much chakra and you blow off, and not enough you sink. Note also, like the others, you can use other areas like your knees, elbows, and hands. Second note, once you can do all these exercises, start combining them, like doing the leaf balancing and the tree climbing together, or the water walking and leaf balancing together. Also, when you get to the point the leaf becomes so easy you can't tell any improvement, use heavier items like small stones, move up to shurikens and kunais, keeping them on your hands without getting cut. Senbon balancing. Once you can hold a kunai in your hand with chakra without getting cut, then comes Senbon balancing. It is the master of all chakra control exercises, and if you're not careful can end your ninja career. What you have to do is first get a Senbon to stay in your hand like a kunai and shuriken without getting cut or it moving. Once you can do that, then learn to do the same thing with your feet, 1 foot at a time, where you can stand on a Senbon needle without it stabbing into your foot. After that you move up to standing on your hands on top of the needle. Note, most people never make it this far, but I figure I would list it anyways. Nobody has ever used a Senbon anyplace else besides their hands and feet out of fear of being crippled. Please be careful. Your balance for your body movement is way off, meaning your reflexes are out of sync with the rest of your body. There is only 2 ways to fix this. One is to learn a taijutsu style made for your body type. I do not know one since I don't really focus on taijutsu much, so I guess the other option will be the one you will have to do. It's called dodging. I know sounds simple, and in theory it is simple, but my idol Tsunade-sama created this exercise, and she is one of the legendary sanins. Anyway, for you, what I would do is buy you some weights for your arms and legs. Start off with 10% of your total body weight, so if you weigh 110 pounds, then start off with 11 pounds on each limb. Then get a bunch of rubber balls and create your Kage Bunshin army like you did against Mizuki, and have them throw the balls at you while you dodge them. The weights will slow you down and help you build your muscles and speed. Once you can dodge all the balls thrown at you for say 30 minutes, then I would add a little more weight, no more than 10% of your total body weight at a time, and I would not add more than a total of 50% your total body weight. If you do, then you start building too much muscles that will slow you down and make movements harder, which is something bad for a ninja. Taijutsu, as I said earlier, I don't know a taijutsu style suited for you. You could ask your sensei for one, find one yourself, or create one. Personally though, I think with your arm and leg length that taijutsu would be a bad idea for you. Sure, learn one that you can use if you don't have a weapon, but I would personally find yourself a kenjutsu weapon. Kenjutsu, if you decide to follow my advice and get a weapon, I would talk with my dad about what he believes would suit you. I know most people will say a sword or something like that, but you don't have the body type for a sword user in my opinion, at least not yet, maybe when you get older and taller. Sealing, I know this might be a tough subject for you considering, but sealing is a great tool for a ninja because you can create scrolls to carry large amounts of items as well as exploding tags, to name a few ideas of what you can do with them. If you do decide to venture into sealing and you decide to experiment with them, let your Kage Bunshin do that for you, so that way if they do something wrong and blow themselves up you won't be hurt. Sealing is an art of skills that few ever venture into. You can seal things back into a seal by placing it on the seal and sending chakra into the seal, and then unseal it by using chakra. Hand signs, I've included a book on the theory of chakra control, and inside it is the history of hand signs and how to do them in case Mizuki tricked you on them, and I thought a better understanding of them would help you. Once you learn them, I would work on your hand seal speed when you get the chance, because the faster you can make them the less time your enemies have to prepare for them. Clothing, all I will say is please get out of the Kill Me Orange outfit and accept our offer on new cloths. We can get you into some real shinobi cloths that will make others respect you. Teammates can be a pain in the ass sometimes, but remember this: in a fight they are the ones who are there to watch your back. There is no I in teammates or teamwork. We are put on a team for a reason. Jutsu Kage Bunshin no Jutsu Kage Kunai no Jutsu Kage Shuriken no Jutsu. Naruto blinked and thought, whoa, that is a lot I didn't know. Thanks Tenten. Naruto looked at the clock and went to take a shower before getting dressed and grabbing his frog wallet and leaving his apartment. Chapter 2. It took 20 minutes, but Naruto found the wolf claw weapons shop and entered the store, and as the bell rang above the door he looked around and a man came from the back, and when he saw Naruto he said, I see Tenten must have met you. I'm Dustin. Naruto smiled slightly as he saw Dustin being friendly, and he said, Naruto Uzumaki. Dustin laughed as he said, I know several of your reputations precede you, including being the prank master from hell. I love the Hokage monument paint job you did. I hear Umbu got their ass chewed up over that one, since nobody saw you until you were nearly done. Naruto laughed and said, yeah, I still can't figure out how I was able to avoid all those ninja until Iruka-sensei found me, so anyways, I'm not sure what to get or where to get started, and I don't have very much money. As he pulled out his wallet, Dustin said, let's start off with your cloths and go from there, and we will work something out on the payment if you don't have enough. Now let's see, can you take off your coat so I can take your measurements, and then we can get started on getting you some new clothes. Naruto took off his orange coat and Dustin grabbed a tailor's tape and began to take Naruto measurements, and after he was done, he said, a little short right now and a little thin, but you're still growing. Let's see, bright colors are not the best for a ninja, but also too dark of colors isn't best either. Let's see, here we go. As he pulled out a pair of black pants and then walked over and grabbed a gray shirt and some fishnet shirt before he walked over to another rack and grabbed a black cloak and he said, now let's see. Yeah, this should work, why don't you go try this on and let's see how you look. As he handed the cloths to Naruto. Naruto took them and Dustin pointed to a dressing room and Naruto went in and put the clothes on. When Naruto came back out, Dustin said, try the cloak on. Naruto frowned as he grabbed the cloak and put it on and said, I'm not used to wearing a cloak like this. Dustin said, I know and I can tell, but I mostly wanted to see something walk down the aisle there and come back and let me see if I am right. Naruto did and Dustin said, I see you're right, a cloak like that one won't work for you because of your current height, but when you get older it most likely will once you get your growth spurt. I figure you will shoot up to around 6 foot tall. Anyways, the thing I wanted to see was how you carried yourself. You're used to running a lot and a cloak would get tangled up with your legs and trip you. I can tell by your measurements and your movements that when you fight most of the time you take a lot more damage because of your arms and legs being shorter than the person you're fighting, right? Naruto nods and Dustin said that means any taijutsu style you're going to learn is going to have to be high speed and built around dodging. I would say your best bet is to make it where your enemies have to dodge your blows instead of you having to dodge theirs. To do this, I would suggest getting a weapon to extend your range, and I mean something bigger than a kunai, because if your enemy has kunais, then you're right back where you started. Naruto thought about it and asked, what do you suggest then? Dustin said, well, first go ahead and take off that cloak, I already saw what I needed to see from using it, now let's see maybe. As he looked at Naruto and then walked back to the counter and pulled out a drawer and grabbed a piece of paper and came back to Naruto and said, do me a favor and send some chakra into this. It will help me get the perfect weapon for you. Naruto asked how. As he sent chakra into the paper and the paper split down the middle. Dustin said, so I was right, wind. And Naruto asked, huh? Dustin said, oh sorry, this chakra tells what elemental affinity you have, which means what kind of jutsu are easier for you to do than others. Wind cuts, fire burns, water soaks, earth crumbles and lightning crinkles. Yours cut, so that means you have wind as your elemental affinity. It's rare in Konoha actually, but an old friend of mine in Wind Country also uses wind and gave me a few things over the years to sell here, and he gave me a few wind jutsu to help promote the sales of the weapons he sent to me. He made, I hate the fact that it's his weapons that suit you instead of mine, but that's fine, not let me see what we got. As he moved over to a section of weapons and he looked at Naruto and said, yeah, that should work. Naruto asked, what should work? Whoa, don't you think that's too, I don't know, too long. As he looked at the weapon, Dustin picked up and noticed the weapon was over 6 foot tall and had a blade on one end of a long staff, before on the other end there was a half-moon flat piece of metal. Dustin laughed and said, normally you would be right, except this isn't a normal weapon or even one weapon but several weapons. You see that half-moon on the end? It is designed like a Suna battle fan and it allows you to use wind manipulation to send blades of wind and strong gust of winds out of it at your enemies without the use of hand signs. Now on the other end here you have Woldo. It is a one-sided blade similar to a sword, and like the battle fan, it can also send wind attacks out of it or make it sharper and longer with wind chakra. Now we have the staff here, watch. As he grabbed the staff and twisted each end, and the staff came separate, and Dustin said, as you can see, this can become 2 weapons at the same time, where you can do this. As he placed both ends of the weapon together and said, as you can see, the battle fan and the Woldo are designed with a small grove that allows them to join together to make a battle pike, and the 2 handles merge together as well to make one handle. Now watch this, this is where my friend made the ultimate surprise. As he grabbed the handle near the pike and pulled it off, leaving a 3-foot staff and a foot-long staff on the pike, and said, here is a battle axe that you can carry around and a staff weapon. What do you think? Naruto was wide-eyed and said, whoa, that is awesome, but all the time putting it together and taking it apart seems to me like it would be dangerous. Dustin smirked and said, excellent, I would have hit you over the head with this if you had actually accepted this weapon. This weapon is good, but more along the lines a samurai would use. You're not a samurai but a ninja, you don't have time to put together and take apart this in battle. I keep it here because it was the last piece of work my friend gave me before he passed away, and it's a reminder about putting too much work into any one weapon. A weapon, no matter how well made it is or how deadly it is only as effective as the person who wields it. Nobody can actually wield this weapon correctly even though it is so deadly. Naruto frowned and asked, then why did you pick it out and show me it? Dustin said, because you needed to understand the different types of weapons that you could use as a wind user, and understand just because you can use a weapon doesn't mean you should use a weapon. Kunais and shurikens are cheap and inexpensive weapons that don't take much skill to use and are not really considered a weapon but more of basic tools. A weapon, however, is something you bond with and take time learning and taking care of. It becomes a part of you. Now catch. As he tossed Naruto a scroll. Naruto asked, "What's this?" Dustin said, "That scroll contains what I figure is the best weapon for you right now. It's a basic ninjata sword that allows a person with wind chakra to use it and train in the use of wind chakra without destroying the weapon. It's actually a mass-produced weapon that is common, but the reason I am saying that is your best choice is you need to learn to wield a weapon and figure out what you can and can't do, so that way when you find a weapon that you prefer, it is a weapon that is a part of you. Sometimes you can find one and other times you have to make one yourself. Do you understand?" Naruto asked, "Is this what you were saying about a person bonding with a weapon?" Dustin nods and said, "When you find your weapon you will know what I mean. It's not something other can do for you, but you have to live long enough to find your weapon, and that is why I am giving you that ninjata." Naruto frowned and after a moment smirked and said, "I think I understand. It's not being what I am but who I am that determines my weapon." Dustin said, "Very good. Most people don't understand that and think that just because they're a ninja they need this or that kind of weapon, and it ends up getting them killed. There's an old saying, a user doesn't pick the weapon picks its user. I am a firm believer in this." Naruto smiled and said, "I can see why Tenten's so smart." Dustin laughed and said, "No, she got that from her mother. Anyways, let's get you finished up. Go grab you a coat over there off the rack to wear over your normal cloths, and I'll get you 3 more sets of the rest of the cloths I got you." Naruto nods and he grabs a gray coat that slowly moves into a light blue and puts it on, and Dustin had a scroll and said, "All right, here you go. Here is a total of 4 sets of cloths including the one you got on the ninjata, the coat, 2 sets of shurikens and kunai sealing kit along with some scrolls, so that way in case you decide to try it out like Tenten suggested you will have the supplies. I have also included a first aid kit and a scroll with 5 wind jutsu and wind manipulation training to help you with that, and some weights. Is there anything else you need?" Naruto shook his head and Dustin said, "That will be a total of $960. Naruto was wide-eyed as he pulled out his money and said, "I only got $600. Dustin said, "Normally, this would have cost you $1,200, so I gave you a discount and I figured you would be short, so pay half now and once a month I expect you to come pay part of the rest of your balance until it's paid off. Deal?" Naruto said, "Deal, so I owe you $480. Dustin nods and Naruto handed him the money and said, "Thanks." Dustin said, "No problem, now you better get going. I mean, you can't stay here all day talking to an old man like me if you want to get stronger." Naruto laughed and said, "I guess not, but thank you, and I'll be sure to pay you." Dustin said, "I believe you will, kid." Naruto said, "Well, CYA." As he left. Naruto left and went to the woods behind the Hokage monument and opened the scroll and thought, looks like the same seal as the other scroll, so here goes. As he said chakra into each of the seals on the scroll, unsealing the items. Naruto smiled and picked up the weights and thought, let's see chakra weights. Send chakra to the seal on each band and a number will appear and will stop adding at 50 pounds each. Release the weights by putting blood on the one marked right arm. Sounds simple enough. As he put one on both his arms and one on both his legs and began to send chakra into them and saw them get to 10 pounds, and Naruto thought that should do it for now. Naruto then looked at the other things and resealed everything except the scroll on wind jutsu and thought, well, I guess it's time to see if cage bunchins really do transfer back their memories. And then he unsealed the sword and the 2 books and put his hands together and said cage bunchin no jutsu. As 20 cage bunchin appeared and Naruto said, alright I want you to work on that leaf balancing, you will work on the tree climbing, you go find some water and try the water walking, you start reading the book on seals, you start reading the book on chakra control theories, and let's see, it says here that in order to learn to control our wind chakra we have to fold our chakra in half and use the thin edge of our chakra to cut leaf stones and water. Okay, you 3 go and figure out amongst yourself which one you want to try. Now let's see, that leaves me 12 more of you guys. I got the Kage Kunai no Jutsu and the Kage Shuriken no Jutsu to learn, and also these 5 wind jutsu. I want you 2 to take a kunai and a shuriken and do as the scroll said, trying those 2 jutsu, and I want you 5 to work on of the wind jutsu. Okay, that leaves me with 5 more. Why doesn't Gigi do this with his paperwork if this works? Alright, you 5, go work on chakra control, I don't care which, but go. A cage bunchin asked, what are you going to do? Naruto said, well, I thought I would get used to these weights since I feel sluggish and try to also figure out how to swing this sword around. A cage bunchin asked, but I thought we were going to do the dodging thingy. Naruto frowned and said, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Well, I don't have enough money to buy some rubber balls since I still need to eat until I get paid again. Hokage Bunshin asked why not use sticks and rocks, it's not like we haven't been hit with them before. Naruto thought a moment and said alright, instead of chakra control you 5 go find some rocks and come back and we will try the dodging thing while I swing this thing. The Hokage Bunshin said hi. And all of them left. Naruto was reaching for the sword when the Hokage Bunshin working on tree climbing fell back and exploded and Naruto blinked as did all the Hokage Bunshin and he said well that works Hokage Bunshin no jutsu. As 15 more Hokage Bunshin appeared and he frowned and said alright divide into 3 teams and go work on one of the chakra control exercises. As he reached for his sword. Hokage Bunshin said why should we listen to you? Naruto said because I'm the original and you're just a clone. The Hokage Bunshin gave him a raspberry before it was stuck with Naruto's sword and Naruto asked anyone else want to die. One said that was mean boss. Naruto sighed and said I'm going to go crazy look just do what I told you to already. The clones quickly left and a few seconds later Naruto got the memories of one of them and thought this is going to be a long day. Before he was hit in the head by a rock and he screamed ow. Hokage Bunshin said sorry boss, but you're supposed to dodge. Naruto flipped him off and said warn me next time. Hokage Bunshin screamed dodge. Having already thrown a rock and Naruto got hit in the back of the head. Naruto growled and one said ready boss. Naruto said yeah. Just then he was hit in the back and he said hey I wasn't ready. One said boss you said you were. Naruto slapped his head and said alright look let's start with dodging in front of me for now alright. The 5 Hokage Bunshin got together and drew back and asked ready. Naruto nods and he dodged the first rock only to get hit by 4 more and he muttered ow. Before he got back up and started again. Several hours later Naruto was limping back into the village, covered in bruises and blood and Irika who was walking by asked Naruto is that you? Naruto looked at him and nods and Irika asked what happened to you? Who did this? Naruto rubbed his ribs and said I got in a fight with myself and lost. Irika looked confused and asked huh? What are you talking about? Just then a Hokage Bunshin came running up behind Naruto and said hey boss you forgot this. As he held up a scroll. Naruto reached for the scroll and the Hokage Bunshin said sorry boss, but you told us to throw as hard as we could. Naruto looked at him and kicked him in the nuts, and he winces as he got the memories and said note to self don't kick nuts on Hokage Bunshin. Ow. As he bent over. Irika blinked and said are you going to be alright Naruto? Naruto fell to the ground and said no I'm dying. As he curled up into a fetal position. Irika sweat dropped and put his hand on Naruto's shoulder and shined away to Naruto apartment and Naruto opened his eyes and said thanks I think I know why that jutsu is a forbidden jutsu. Irika asked oh, why is that? Naruto said Hokage Bunshin get their own personalities, mine are all smartasses. A Hokage Bunshin stuck its head out of the kitchen holding a cup of ramen and said I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass like you. Naruto growled and sat up and said what the hell are you doing here? I thought you all were dispelled. The Hokage Bunshin said nope I got hungry looking for some water and so I decided to come back home and eat. Naruto said damn it stay out of my ramen. As he got up and limped into the kitchen and swung at the Hokage Bunshin who dodged and stuck out his tongue before dropping his fork on his foot dispelling itself. Naruto blinked and said damn it he ate 5 cups of my ramen. Irika sweat dropped and thought I am not even going to ask. As he shined away. The next day Naruto walked into the Hokage office in his new cloths with his sword on his back and the Sandaime blinked as he saw Naruto and asked Naruto is that really you? Naruto slapped his head and said do you want me to release Kyuubi to prove it? Damn it I just got new cloths, does everyone have to ask that? Sarutobi said sorry Naruto it's just surprising, so what are you here for? Naruto held up his hand and said ninja registration and picture ID. Sarutobi chuckled sheepishly and said I see not bad oh why do you say you're a wind type? Naruto said because I am that strange paper split down the middle and said I was wind chakra. Sarutobi said chakra papers where did you come in contact with that? Naruto rubbed his head and said the store I got these cloths at the wolf claw weapon shop. Dustin had me try it to see what element I had to help me pick a weapon. Sarutobi said and you got a ninjata. Naruto said well for now at least he said this could handle my wind chakra and help me train in it but I would have to find my true weapon but this would help keep me alive until I do find it. Sarutobi chuckled and said yes that does sound like him. So what all have you been doing besides getting new cloths and a sword? Naruto rubbed his head and said training. I was wondering, do you have anything on seals or chakra theories? Sarutobi blinked and asked why. Naruto said, promise me you won't do anything or punish anyone please. Sarutobi frowned and said, depends on what's going on Naruto. Naruto sighed and said, you know a girl named Tenten destined daughter. Sarutobi nods and Naruto said, well, when Mizuki attacked Irika and me, there was an old cabin there and Tenten was sort of inside it. She said her family owns it and she goes there to be alone and she sort of saw and heard everything. Sarutobi frowned and thought, well, that probably explains the kunai to the spine. And asked, and Naruto said she accepted me, she came by my place and told me that she knows the difference between me and the fox, and we sort of became friends, and she told me she believed in me and my dream of someday becoming Hokage, and she made a scroll to help me. Sarutobi said, I see, may I see what she wrote? Naruto pulled out a scroll and Sarutobi opened it and read and blinked and said, she put a lot of time and work into this, but how did she get those 3 jutsu? Naruto said, that's sort of my fault. After I read how to do the Kagebunshin no Jutsu, I got up and started to work on it, and she got curious as to what was in the scroll, and she was able to see those 3 jutsu and copied them down. Please don't punish her or blame her. Blame me if you have to, because she didn't know they were forbidden jutsu at the time and thought they were just a training scroll. Sarutobi bit his lip and said, very well, but I will have to tell her not to teach those to anyone else. Naruto said, all right, but please don't do anything to her because she's the first real friend I've ever had and she believes in me and accepts me. Sarutobi sat back and said, I won't. Naruto, now why do you want to know more about chakra theories and seals? Naruto smiled and said, well, I sort of went training happy with my Kagebunshin yesterday and worked on everything including reading those books, and I found out a lot about both that I never knew before. Did you know that you can do jutsu without hand signs, and hand signs are only an aid to help in shaping and molding the chakra for jutsu? Sarutobi said, indeed I did know that. Naruto said, oh yeah, did you know that you can seal a fart in a storage scroll and make it a stink bomb? Sarutobi blinked and said, actually no I didn't. How did you know that? Naruto looked sheepish and said, my Kagebunshin after he read the book on seals decided to try and create a storage scroll, and he messed up on the seal a little and came to show me when I was answering nature's call, and he accidentally sealed my fart into the scroll. I grabbed that scroll by mistake this morning, and right now I'm having to air out my apartment. Sarutobi started to laugh and said, oh my, only you could do something like that Naruto, so why are you wanting those books? Naruto frowned and said, well, when was the last time my seal was inspected? Sarutobi frowned and asked why. Naruto said, I read about seals and how they can degrade over time with use, and I don't remember ever having it checked to see if it's degrading and see if there's a chance Kyuubi could break free. Sarutobi said, about a year ago. I had came by your apartment when you were asleep and used a sleeping jutsu on you to make sure you wouldn't wake up and checked it. Naruto nods and said, I understand and thanks, but I realize that I have a big responsibility to not only myself but everyone else, protecting them from Kyuubi. I figure the best thing I can do is learn about seals and how to maintain them should this one start to degrade, as well as in case it is ever damaged, like someone cuts me across my stomach. If I knew more about seals, I could know if there was a danger of Kyuubi escaping, and if so I could get as far away from Konoha as I can before the seal collapsed, to at least give the people more of a chance to prepare in case it decided to come back and finish what it started. Sarutobi looked at Naruto and asked, are you planning to mess with the seal? Naruto said, only to ensure that Kyuubi doesn't get free. I've read enough warnings to know that if the seal fails there are several possibilities, but all of them agree that I would die, and I personally don't plan to die until I am older than you. Sarutobi bit his lip and said, Naruto, you have made several well-thought-out points, and I commend you on realizing what could happen. I will agree to give you access to more books on sealing, but only on 2 conditions. The first is you do not do anything to the Kyuubi seal unless you have my permission first, and only if I agree to it. The second is you will be tested every so often by Konoha Seal Master Jiraiya of the Sanins, who will also help in your study of seals. Do you understand? Naruto nods and Sarutobi said, very well. As he got up and grabbed 2 books and came back over and said, this is the next book in the series the book you already read came from. I will not help you until you can demonstrate that you can use every seal in this book and the one you already have without any mistakes. Naruto smiles and said, thanks Gigi. Sarutobi said, this second book Naruto is one that was wrote by the Yondaime Hokage on the theories of chakra manipulation. You must not let anyone else read this book as it's not supposed to ever leave this office. Do you understand? Naruto said, I understand, but if it's so valuable, why are you giving it to me? Sarutobi said, call it an investment for the future. With both books on chakra theories, you should have enough knowledge to create your own jutsu, and I mean a real jutsu, and not an advanced hench like your sexy no jutsu. Naruto, who had opened his mouth, closed it and said, "Alright, Gigi, I'll create my own jutsu." Sarutobi said, "Good now, like Tenten, I don't want you teaching those jutsu to anyone else, Naruto." Naruto said, "I won't, I promise." Sarutobi said, "Is there anything else you need to tell me?" Naruto said, "I was thinking of telling you to use Kagebunshin to do your paperwork since the memories transfer back to you, but I don't know if it was just me or what, but mine were they were unique in personality." Sarutobi said, "I'll consider it, but thanks for the advice." Naruto said, "Thank Tenten, I missed reading that important note when I learned the jutsu, and it would have taken me a while to realize the truth." Sarutobi said, "Well, it's been nice talking with you, Naruto, but I must get back to my duties." Naruto nods and gets up and starts toward the door but stopped and said, "Gigi, could you not tell anyone about all this? I want to surprise everyone with my improved skills, but until I can actually use them I don't want people making fun of me." Sarutobi said, "This will remain our little secret." Naruto smiles and reached for the door and said, "Gigi, I figured it out last night after reading up on seals. I noticed one seal in the center of the Kyuubi seal just by chance, a blood seal. The only way that I should have been able to use Kyuubi chakra ever was if a blood relative were to make that seal. I thought it over and remember the picture on the wall here in this office. I finally understand why he did it and I understand why you hide it, but someday could you tell me about my mother?" As his smile faded and he kept his hand on the door with his back to the Sandaime while trying to keep from losing his control. Sarutobi looked out the window and said, "There are many secrets I carry that nobody knows. There are those secrets that can only be learned by becoming a chunin, and others when a person makes jounin you're dismissed." Naruto closed his eyes and thought, "So I was right." As he opened the door and began to walk out when a kid shouted, "I got you this time, old man," and stabbed at Naruto, who was coming out the door with a wooden kunai. Sarutobi blinked and groaned, and Naruto growled and said, "What the hell, you little brat." Sarutobi said, "Konohamaru, that is the third time this week you have tried to surprise attack me." The newly identified Konohamaru said, "So you realize the danger I present to you, old man, and hired a bodyguard, huh?" Naruto slapped his hand upside the back of Konohamaru's head, knocking him to the ground, and said, "You idiot, Gigi doesn't need a bodyguard because he's the strongest ninja in the village and you're just some snot-nosed little brat. The only way that you would stand a chance at defeating him is if you had a team to do it or if you found his weakness." Konohamaru said, "Oh yeah, and what do you know, you jerk?" Naruto growled, said, "Watch this." As he turned, putting his hands together, and Sarutobi seeing this thought, "Oh no," and Naruto shouted, "Sexy no jutsu," as he transformed into a nude blonde woman. The sound of a thud was heard, making both Naruto and Konohamaru look over and saw the Sandaime was passed out with blood coming from his nose, and Konohamaru was wide-eyed and said, "Grandpa." As he ran over and tapped Sarutobi on the face and looked at Naruto and said, "You killed him, you're the Hokage now." Naruto changed back and said, "Idiot, he's just passed out because he's a pervert. That is his weakness." A groan was heard and Sarutobi rubbed his head and wiped the blood off his face and said, "Sexy no jutsu, very dangerous kinjutsu, don't do it again." Naruto laughed and said, "Hey, I just thought of another jutsu, Gigi, it won't work for our deal, but I think you will like it. Harem jutsu." As the room was filled with nude blonde girls, Sarutobi passed out again and Konohamaru was wide-eyed and said, "You have got to teach me that." Naruto snorts as he released the jutsu and said, "No, now go away, brat," as he turned and started to walk away. At that moment Ebisu walked into the room and shouted, "Honorable grandson, oh my, what have you done to the Hokage, honorable grandson?" as he moved over to wake up the Sandaime. Konohamaru looked at where Naruto had went and thought, "I don't know who you are, but I'm going to learn how you did that and defeat Gramps and you." After the Sandaime was up and Konohamaru was gone, the Sandaime thought, "I'm sorry, Naruto, but you're not ready." That afternoon Naruto was dodging rocks his Kagebunshin were throwing at him as other ones were doing the same exercises from the day before and also reading the 2 new books when a voice said, "You know, I didn't think you would get this serious about your training." Causing Naruto to look up and see Tenten standing on a tree limb and said, "Oh hey, ah damn it, stop throwing a minute, so what are you doing here and how did you find me, Tenten?" Tenten jumped down out of the tree and said, "Well, the Sandaime told me you usually train up here after he had a little talk with me." As she shot him a glare. Naruto saw this and asked, "He didn't punish you or anything, did he?" Tenten said, "No, but he could have, because some of the things I trusted you with were secrets that you're not supposed to learn until after you actually become Genin." Naruto said, "But I am one." Tenten shook her head and said, "No, not yet, there's another test that is given by your Jounin sensei to see if you are ready to be one." The test at the academy is just to see if you might be ready. Naruto frowned and said I didn't know, and I'm sorry if I got you in trouble but. Tenten said, but what? Why did you go see him and tell him about me? As she placed her hands on her hips, Naruto sighed and said I finished those 2 books you gave me and I learned a lot of things I didn't know, some of which scared me, like the fact seals degrade over time with use. I was worried about. You know, I never remembered it being checked to see if it had been degrading, so I had to ask about it so I can at least know it's not going to burst out of my stomach and kill me because nobody checking on it. Tenten frowned and said alright, I can understand why you went to talk to him, but you still didn't explain why you mentioned me. Naruto rubbed his head and said well, I had to tell him how I knew what I knew so far and why I was asking for some more advanced books on both sealing and chakra theories, and he was worried I might be messing with the seal, and so I had no choice but to tell him it, and I begged him not to be angry at you or punish you because you didn't know those jutsu were forbidden and thought they were just training scrolls. I told him if he had to punish anyone to punish me. He told me he wouldn't, but he would tell you not to teach those jutsu to anyone else and made me promise not to also. I'm sorry I didn't plan to tell him about you, but he's like a grandpa to me and I can't lie to him after everything he's done for me, even if I don't agree with some of the things. I at least understand and respect him for trying. As he looked down, Tenten sighed and said well, you can't run off and tell him everything all the time. Friends keep secrets for each other. I'm keeping your secret even if there is a law about it, and I will keep any other secrets you want to tell me, but you can't just go and tell others about the secrets I tell you. Training is considered a secret because I don't want others to know how I do my jutsu or how I fight and prepare for it, and I don't think you would either, so any more training between us we don't tell unless we ask each other's permission first from now on. Agreed? Naruto nods and said yeah, and I'm sorry. Tenten waved it off and said so you already finished both those books, huh? Looking over at the clones who were reading, Naruto eyes got big with excitement and said yeah, and I learned some new stuff they never even talked about back in the academy. Gigi told me he will let me have more advanced books on sealing once I can show I understand those 2 books on sealing, and he also is going to have some guy named Jiraiya test me and help me with seals sometime. Tenten eyes got wide and said you're going to get trained by Jiraiya-sama of the Sanins. Naruto rubbed his head and said yeah, Gigi also said that with the 2 books I got on chakra theories I will have enough knowledge to make my own jutsu and not one of my pervert jutsu. He said once I make my own jutsu he will give me more advanced books on those. Tenten said really, what's a pervert jutsu? Naruto looked sheepish and said it's how I got the forbidden scroll in the first place. It's a jutsu I made to knock out perverts, and I used it on Gigi. Tenten frowned and asked Naruto why did believe that Mizuki guy when he told you about the makeup test. Didn't you think it seemed odd stealing a scroll from the Hokage tower? Naruto said yeah, I did. Tenten asked then why did you do it? Naruto looked down and said Mizuki told me there were special cases where students have some kind of disability that prevents them from passing the final test. He told me some kid named Rock Lee passed a test last year and he couldn't even use chakra, and he told me about this girl named Amelia that graduated 3 years ago and she didn't have a real left arm because she lost it in the Kyuubi attack as a baby and had a wooden arm. He told me that he believed that something was wrong with my chakra that was keeping me from passing, and so he asked Iruka-sensei if he could give me the alternate test. How was I supposed to know it was all a lie when I remember kids making fun of the Rock Lee kid last year and he was my sensei? Tenten bit her lip and said I guess I can understand now why you did it. Hell, even I would have fallen for that because I know Lee since he's my teammate. Naruto eyes were wide and he said he is. How is he able to be a ninja when he can't use chakra? In a questioning tone. Tenten said well, there are other things besides ninjutsu and genjutsu that you can do as a ninja. Lee is working hard to become a ninja in taijutsu, and I'll tell you this, he's actually better than most ninja I know. The only person I think could beat him is Neji-kun, our other teammate, but sensei never lets them finish their spars. Naruto said so he's using taijutsu. Has he thought about kenjutsu also? I mean, Tenten laughed and said I know what you're thinking. Remember how I told you about not going more than half your body weight on the weights? Lee can't use a weapon effectively because he bulked up on weights and has restricted his body's natural flexibility. You and Lee are like 2 sides of the same coin. His arms and legs are longer than yours, so he's more suited for taijutsu, but he sacrifices some flexibility for it. Your arms and legs are shorter, but you seem to be more flexible than him, which is why I suggested kenjutsu. Naruto said yeah, I guess that makes sense. As he began to chuckle, Tenten asked what's so funny? Naruto said, oh sorry, I was just laughing because I've learned more from you in a couple of days than I did in all my years at the academy. Damn it, that was my last clone working on tree climbing. Tenten looked around and said how much are you actually working on at a time? Naruto said everything. Why? Tenten frowned and said, so you're doing all those exercises at once. Naruto said, yeah, I haven't gotten anywhere on the wind stuff yet, but I've got the leaf balancing partially done and the tree climbing I've made it about 6 feet off the ground and water walking I haven't made any progress yet. Tenten slapped her head and said, listen Naruto, you're going to have to learn to do things smarter, not stronger. Watch. As she walked over and placed one foot on a tree and kept it there and said, do you see what I am doing? I could go up this tree in a hurry and fall down 1,000 times trying to learn to walk up it, but instead what I am doing is going one step at a time, letting my chakra get the right amount where I am stuck to the tree good so I can do this. As she moved her foot on the ground to the tree and said slowly, one step at a time, this isn't a race but a goal. It doesn't matter if you're first getting it as long as you do get it. Naruto blinked and said, so if I just need to take my time and learn to get up the tree, then why do I need to work on my control so much? Tenten said, because the more chakra you use the more you will make later. What I've found is best is start with one tree. When you can walk up and down the tree on every branch that is at least as big as your wrist, top and bottom of the branch, then you have learned that tree and it is time to move to another tree. Each tree is different and provide a little bit of difficulty that you will have to learn to adapt to and improve on. Naruto asked, will that work with the water walking as well? Tenten said, yes, start off with water and like a pond where the water isn't moving, one step at a time, making sure you adjust and get it slowly, then move up to a small stream, then a river and then a hot spring, and if you get the chance, the ocean. Naruto said, so start doing things smarter, not harder. Tenten smiled and said, exactly. Naruto frowned and said, you keep doing all this for me and helping me, but I don't have any way to help you or pay you back. Don't friends supposed to help each other? Tenten said, yeah, I noticed that you're using a ninjata, maybe you could help me with being my sparring partner. Naruto asked, you use weapons? Tenten laughed and said, yeah, I carry all my weapons and scrolls. I mostly throw weapons, and I've gotten so good at hitting my targets I never miss. Naruto thought a moment and asked, how good are you on moving targets? Tenten said, I never miss. Naruto smirked and said, I got an idea, you say you never miss, and you also say I need to work on my dodging, right? Tenten frowned and nodded slowly, and Naruto said, well, why not use me as your target, or not me exactly but my Kage Bunshin? Tenten frowned and said, but that is just a waste of time because your Kage Bunshin don't help you physically get better. Naruto said, I know, but you see my Kage Bunshin have been beating the hell out of me with rocks as I try to learn to dodge them, and my biggest problem is I don't detect them in time to dodge. Maybe by having them be your targets, they can help me learn to detect flying weapons so I can become better at dodging. Tenten thought a moment and said, maybe that will work. As she thought it over, when Naruto shouted, ow, damn it, what the hell was that for? As he rubbed the side of his head where a rock hit him. Kage Bunshin said, hey, we don't like being used as target practice any more than you do. Naruto frowned and said, but you're just Kage Bunshins. The Kage Bunshin said, so we can still kick your ass like we did yesterday. Naruto glared at him and Tenten said, do you always fight with yourself? Naruto said, seems like it lately, I think this is why it's a forbidden jutsu. Anyways, I'm the boss, and you guys are going to listen to me. If Tenten wants to use you as target practice, then you're going to be targets, got me? Another rock beamed him upside the head, and the clone who threw it said, yes sir. Before it smirked and said, oh Tenten, just be sure to aim at our nuts please. Naruto eyes went wide and said, no please, not that. Tenten looked confused and asked why. Naruto rubbed his head and said, I kicked one of my clones there yesterday, and when they say they transfer back the memories, it's not just the actual memories but also the pain in the memories of being hit. I felt like I was kicked in the nuts when the clone went up in smoke, so please don't hit them there. Tenten said, alright, I won't. So anyways, what's this pervert jutsu you were talking about? As she tried to get back her sanity from seeing Naruto argue with himself. Naruto put his hands together and said, sexy no jutsu. As he was covered in smoke, and when it showed his female form with clouds covering her breast and crotch, Tenten got a tick and Naruto released the jutsu and said, pretty good huh? Tenten glared at him and said, why in the hell did you do that? Naruto asked, huh? Seeing her angry face. Tenten said, do you have any idea how demeaning that was to woman? Naruto frowned and said, what do you mean? Tenten slapped him across the face and said, you fucking pervert. As she turned and started to leave, and Naruto, who was holding his face, said, wait, what are you upset about? Looking confused. Tenten turned and said, you know what I'm talking about, you made that jutsu to show that women are only sex objects and is an insult to every woman out there. Naruto said, no I didn't, I made that jutsu to help women. Tenten screamed help help, how the hell can that jutsu help woman? Naruto said by letting a shinobi be back up on a kunoichi only mission. Tenten blinked and asked what do you mean? As she tried to calm her temper and looked at Naruto questioningly. Naruto sighed and said Mrs. Sudi. She used to be Gigi's secretary and she would always keep little candies in her desk for whenever I came to Gigi so I could have one. She was one of the few who was always nice to me until last year when something happened on a mission with her daughter. I don't know all the details about what happened, but I came by one day and she wasn't at her desk, so I went to Gigi's door and was about to knock when I heard her screaming at Gigi from the other side of the door. She came out of his office crying and she walked over to her desk and started gathering her things, and I saw how upset she was, so I walked over and asked what was wrong. She told me that her daughter was dead because her teammates couldn't get to her in time because they were men. I didn't understand what she was getting at, so I went to talk to Gigi after she left. He looked at me with such sad eyes and told me that there are times where kunoichi have to take parts of the mission where only a woman could do the job. I asked Gigi why couldn't a shinobi just use henge to pretend to be a woman and do it if it was so dangerous, and he told me that he wished a henge could do that but a henge wasn't real. I thought that was stupid, so I started playing around with the henge and I accidentally found a way to make what Gigi calls an advanced henge that is an actual shape shift. I'm still working on it since I don't know enough about woman to make it completely real, but I'm getting better at it because I plan when I become Hokage to make it where all shinobi have to learn it, so that way there won't be a such thing as kunoichi only missions, so no one else would have to cry like Mrs. Sudi. Tenten frowned as she heard this, and said, so you're saying that what you showed me wasn't a regular henge, but an actual shapeshift? Naruto nods and said yeah, watch. Sexy no jutsu. As he changed again and said see pull my hair, Tenten walked over and pulled his hair and Naruto winced and Tenten eyes widened as she looked at Naruto and said why is it those clouds are staying in those areas? Naruto rubbed his head and released the jutsu and said well, like I said, I don't know enough to make it complete yet, so I'm just using what I saw of a picture of a woman in the book in Gigi's desk one time. Tenten frowned as she heard this and started to walk a few steps and turned as she went over what she just heard and began to pace back and forward and said okay, I can understand where you're coming from in some aspects, and I'm touched that you're actually trying to come up with something like that, but I don't condone the way you were using what you do have so far. Why are you acting like a tease like that and making women seem like sex toys? Naruto frowned and said I didn't know I was. I thought I was showing people my work on the jutsu, so when I become Hokage they will know the jutsu works. Tenten asked how couldn't you know it works? I mean the way you moved your face and body was the actions of a tramp. Naruto said, but it was what the woman in Gigi book did to get men's attention. Tenten groaned and said no way, are you that innocent, are you? As she looked at Naruto questioningly and asked Naruto what the difference between men and woman. Naruto blinked and said oh that's easy, women have babies. Tenten asked and? Naruto asked and what? Tenten asked what are breast, Naruto. As she blushed slightly. Naruto said I know it's where babies get milk since I saw a woman feeding a baby once when another lady opened a door before she closed it quickly. Tenten slumped against a tree and said didn't they teach you about sex in the academy, Naruto? Naruto frowned and said I was sent into the hall by Mizuki. Tenten thought that's it, I'm killing the bastard next time I see him. And said Naruto, there are a lot more things that are different between men and women than just babies. I think I have a good idea of what kind of book you were reading to get your info, and I want you to stop using it for your work. In fact, until you have gotten a book on human anatomy and memorized both males' and females' anatomy, I don't want you to use that jutsu again. Please. Naruto said sure, but what about the harem jutsu? Tenten asked harem jutsu. I'm afraid to ask. Naruto said I came up with it earlier today when I knocked Gigi out again. It's basically a sexy no jutsu being performed by Kage Bunshin. Tenten shook her head and said then, don't use that either. Once you have learned the human anatomy, then I'll work with you a little bit to see if you can complete that jutsu or get it closer to accurate. I'm touched that you're trying to make things better for kunoichi, but you're going about it the wrong way right now. There's more to being a woman than looks though, and I wouldn't put a lot of time into that right now since you're spreading yourself out so much already. Naruto said alright, I'll work on the other things for right now, but are you still mad at me? Tenten snorts and said no, Naruto. It's just that the way you were doing that jutsu was like a slap in the face to me toward working on my dream. I want to show women are just as good as men, but the way you displayed a woman makes us seem like sex objects, which is something we're not. Naruto said sorry, I hate to say this but there are a lot of things I don't know. You've been so nice to me, and when I do something to make you mad it hurts, because I don't want you to be mad at me since you're my first real friend. Tenten asked you've never had anyone else. In a questioning tone. Naruto said well when I first joined the academy the first couple of days Sakura-chan was nice to me but then she started to hang out with Ino and she didn't have time for me and started calling me an idiot because of mistakes I made and I think that might be why I try so hard to get her to go out with me is because I want to get my friend back, but no matter what I try to do it never seems to work. I also hung out with Kiba Shikamaru and Choji but after we skipped school twice to go play and their parents came and got them. Shikamaru said it was too troublesome. Choji wanted to be with Shikamaru and Kiba got his dog companion and started spending all his time with Akamaru. I don't think they were getting away from me because of Kyubi though, because they never seemed scared of me, just annoyed and kept calling me a baka and dead last. Tenten rubbed her temples and said okay, new rule, forget everything before the night you learned about Kyubi, act like it never happened. Like the day you start your period and think you bleeding to death, forget about that also. Naruto frowned and said what does a mark at the end of a sentence have to do with bleeding to death? Tenten couldn't take it and burst out laughing and said oh god Naruto you're so naive, I don't know if I should hug you or kill you. Alright, I can't handle you being clueless on that subject anymore or I will go insane. Naruto, as she began to explain about periods, breast and reproductive organs. By the time she was done Naruto was pale and he said so yeah, I think I understand why you were so upset about the sexy no jutsu now, so doesn't that gross you out? Tenten said a little the first couple of times, but it's a part of me and by what it represents is a part that I desire someday. Naruto thought a moment and said yeah, I guess when they say no pain, no gain is pretty accurate for that. I mean, if you want to be a mom someday you have to deal with cramps and bloating and yeah. As he became flushed. Tenten laughed a little and said I think I should give my dad a hug when I get home tonight, he had to explain that to me when I started. I never knew how uncomfortable it must have been. Naruto smiled slightly and said what's it like? Tenten said having a period. Looking confused. Naruto said no, I mean having a dad. Tenten thought a moment and said dad can be strict sometimes but I know it's because he loves me, he's overprotective but he's also gentle, he's like the person I could tell I want anything and he would try and get it but there are things I wouldn't ask him to get for me. There's just no way to actually describe it. Naruto looked at the sky and said I don't know if I should feel honored and proud of my dad or hate him. As he closed his eyes. Tenten looked confused and asked who's your dad and why would you hate him? Naruto frowned and said when I was looking at the seal on my stomach I came across a blood seal, meaning that someone related to me had to put it there and you should be able to figure the rest out. Tenten thought a moment and her eyes widened and she said oh. Naruto nods and said I confronted Gigi about it earlier, telling him I figured it out but not actually saying it. I asked him if he could someday tell me about my mother and he told me there were things I would learn but I had to be a chunin for some and a jounin for the rest without actually saying it. I understand but it doesn't make it easy. Tenten frowned and said you know I think I've been frowning so much since I met you my face is going to get stuck like this. Look, nothing we say or do will ever change the past. We can't go back in time and change things, don't even think about it. Odds are if you did somehow pull off the impossible it would destroy all creation or something. We are who we are, we just have to show the rest of the world who we are. Naruto said my head hurts. Maybe it's from my Kage Bunshin or maybe it's just thinking about all this. Do you ever just feel overwhelmed and you don't know what to do? Tenten smiled and said yeah, that was why I was at the cabin that night. Naruto said why? I mean, I know your family owns it, but why go there? It looks like nobody been there for years. Tenten said my family when they came to Konoha my mom was already pregnant with me. They didn't have much money and so they bought that place I was born in, that cabin, and my mom died in it. Mom had a small garden in the back and 10 flowers were her favorites that were planted there before she died. She named me Tenten and dad buried her in her garden. When I need time to think I go there and just speak out loud and think she's listening to me. It might sound funny but in a way I think your writing was somehow arranged by mom. I mean, I was doubting my dream until I saw how determined you were and I thought that if you could be so determined that I could be as well. Naruto smiled and said I like your reasons better for explaining how we met. Man, I didn't realize it was already that late. As he saw how the light had dimmed as the sun was starting to set. Tenten got up dusting off her pants and said man, I lost all track of time. Naruto, it was nice talking with you and we have to do this sometime. It was fun just getting to know you a little and talking about myself. I'll come by here and see you when I get the chance, but it might be a little while since I got to work at my family shop all this week after missions. Remember this Naruto, there are no I's in teamwork or teams. CYA. As she quickly left. Naruto watched her go and thought what a day. As he cancelled his Kage Bunshins, and after several minutes of getting rid of a headache, he blinked and thought that's interesting. Hand signs and seals are both representations of how chakra is molded. In theory, you can seal objects away with hand signs, and can shape jutsu with seals. It seems like Dad had that theory from his explanation on chakra theories. I'll have to work on that sometime and see what I can do. Chapter 3. The next day Naruto walked into the academy in his new clothes, and several people blinked as they saw this, and Kiba said, "Hey Dobe, what are you doing here? This is only for those who passed." Naruto said, "I did pass." Dog breath. Mizuki made a mistake on my test that was later found out, and I passed. Sasuke grunted and asked, "What's with the sword, Dobe?" Naruto smiled and said, "Well, team, you know how everyone is always able to beat me with taijutsu because your arms and legs are longer than mine. Since your punches and kicks reach me before mine can reach yours, I got a weapon so my blade can get you before your arms and legs can get me." Several people blinked at this, and Shikamaru muttered, "Troublesome," as he sat his head back down. Naruto began to walk over toward the seat with Sasuke, and thought, "I want to read some more, but I can't show anyone that book." As he turned and walked up the aisle to the seat behind Sasuke and sat down at an empty seat and pulled out a scroll before he unsealed a book, and everyone looked at him when the book was released, and Ami asked, "What was that?" Naruto said, "Just releasing a book I got from the storage seal. The guy I got it from put it in." "Man, it's like you guys are the idiots while I'm the guy you're trying to learn from." As he opened the book, Ami snorts and said, as if baka, as she crossed her arms and sat down. Naruto muttered whatever as he began to read. Kiba asked, "What you reading, Dobe?" Naruto, who was getting angry, said, "How to Kill a Mutt in 3 Easy Steps." As he went back to reading, as a few people snickered, Kiba growled and said, "What was that, Dobe?" Naruto looked up and said, "Back the fuck off, Kiba. I'm trying to stay out of everyone's way, and you and everyone else here are pissing me off asking me stupid ass questions that you can answer yourself by just looking, but maybe for a dumb mutt like you the thought of actually looking and thinking instead of sniffing your ass is too advanced for you." Kiba growled again and said, "You want to make me Dobe?" Naruto said, "Sorry, I may not be the smartest here, but I know to walk around dog's hit, not get my hands dirty playing with it." Kiba sneered and began to move when he was frozen in place, and he said, "What the hell, why can't I move?" Shikamaru said, "Troublesome because I trapped you in my shadow." Kiba: Naruto is right, everyone here has been bugging him about stupid shit that you all could have answered yourself if you just looked. He pulled out a scroll and unsealed a book. You all saw the smoke release, and have seen that done hundreds of times while here at that academy, so that should be nothing new. As for what he's reading, it's a book on chakra theory. It says so on the book cover. You asked him why he was here when all you had to do was look at his forehead and see he actually does have a high 8, and if he wasn't supposed to be here then Irika-sensei would have kicked him out when he got here. The sword surprised even me, but it's too troublesome to think about because his explanation was well thought out and very smart, showing he is trying to take being a ninja seriously. Also, if you notice, he didn't sit in his regular spot where he would most likely been beat on by Sakura and Ino when they get here in a few minutes, showing he actually being smart. So calm down before you get in trouble for fighting another ninja. As he released his jutsu, Kiba turned and said, "Why the hell did you stop me from showing that loser who's top dog?" Shikamaru said, "Troublesome because Kiba, you're actually being more troublesome than Ino, and she is very troublesome." Naruto sighed and said, "Thanks, Shikamaru. I didn't want to fight where all ninja of Konoha were supposed to all get along. There's no I in team or teamwork." Shikamaru eyes widened slightly, and he said, "Troublesome, so do you think Mizuki-sensei will be here today, Naruto?" Naruto eyes widened slightly, and looked over at Shikamaru and said, "Why?" Shikamaru, who had lowered his eyes, shrugs, and Naruto frowned and said, "No, he was injured by a kunai to the spine. I doubt he will ever be back." Shikamaru nods and said, "I see." Sasuke asked, "And how do you know Mizuki was injured to the spine?" Naruto said, "The person who threw the kunai told me he was trespassing on private property and started trouble. That's about all I know though." Just then Ino and Sakura came in and both started to scream at each other about who was going to sit down by Sasuke, and Naruto smirked and said, "Hey Sasuke, why don't you get in the middle so both of them can sit by you and share?" Sasuke eyes widened and paled as all the guys in class began to snicker and laugh, and Sakura and Ino both blinked and looked at each other and then at the seat and then at Sasuke, and then both turned to Naruto, and Sakura said, "Naruto, what are you doing here?" Ino said, "And how come you said that?" Naruto tapped his high 8 and said, "A friend of mine says work smarter, not harder. There's plenty of room on these seats for 3 people, so why not ask Sasuke to move to the middle, and if he refuses, make him decide. Isn't that what all these years of you both fighting is over, trying to decide for him who he wants? Well, why not ask him to choose? Then the one who doesn't get him will be able to move on with her life." Shikamaru said Naruto, your friend is very wise. Naruto said yeah she is. Ino said, Sasuke-kun, would you move so we both can sit by you? Sasuke grunted but did not move, and Kiba, who was holding his side to keep from laughing at Sasuke, said, so Sasuke, who's it going to be, Sakura or Ino? Sasuke looked out the window and kept quiet, and Naruto said, sorry girls, looks like he doesn't like either of you. He's checking out the woman walking down the road in the leather coat. Both girls looked outside and saw Inko walking by, and both glared at her as Sasuke eyes widened and thought must kill Dobe. And said, no I'm not. Naruto said in an innocent tone, but she's the only person outside. When asked to choose the woman you wanted to be with, you looked at her. How can you deny it? With both Ino and Sakura they're giving their hearts to you. Are you just playing hard to get, or is it that you have a secret crush on an older woman and don't want to hurt Sakura and Ino feelings, or are you just secretly gay? Sasuke turned and glared at Naruto and opened his mouth to say something as the guy behind him turned at the same time, and the next moment Sasuke was kissing Naruto, who was wide-eyed. Naruto jumped to his feet and slammed his fist, accidentally sending chakra to his arms and fist as he punched Sasuke in the face, sending Sasuke flying, and screamed, you bastard, that was my first kiss. As he began to spit on the ground. Iruka walked in the class at that moment and saw Sasuke laying on the ground and saw Naruto spitting on the ground, and all the guys in the class were laughing their asses off as the girls looked shocked and hurt, and Iruka asked him, did I miss something? Naruto looked up and pointed to Sasuke and said, that bastard just stole my first kiss. He was asked who he wanted to be with and he kissed me. Angrily. A voice from the door said, Naruto, why are you being so loud? Naruto blinked and said, Tenten, what are you doing here? Tenten said, my team was asked to come help Iruka-sensei with getting everything registered for those who passed since Mizuki not able to. Now what are you being so loud about? Naruto pointed to Sasuke, who was holding his face, and said, I told Sakura and Ino they needed to work smarter not harder because they've been rivals for Sasuke love since they were 7 and broke up their friendship to be with him. They were fighting to see who would sit by him, and I suggested Sasuke to move to the middle so they both could sit, or if he didn't do that, make him choose who would sit by him. The girls asked him and he looked outside instead of answering, and this woman in a leather trench coat walked by, and since she was the only person outside I asked was that who he wanted to be with. He denied it, and I asked if he didn't like that woman, then why is it that he was giving the girls here a cold shoulder, and asked is it he didn't want to hurt their feelings, or was it he was secretly gay? He turned around, and the next thing I know, the bastard was kissing me, stealing my first kiss, so I punched him. Tenten slapped her head and said, okay, Naruto, new rule, when someone asks a question answer as simply as possible. You could have answered my question with the simple sentence, he kissed me when I asked him if he was gay, so I punched him. I didn't care about those girls' history, and I don't care about their love life or why you asked if he was gay. If I did care, I would ask another question. Naruto sighed and said, sorry Tenten. Iruka blinked and looked at Tenten and said, you actually got Naruto to listen. How? Tenten said, I was the one who stabbed Mizuki in the spine when he was trespassing on my family property the other night. Naruto and I became friends after that. Iruka eyes widened and he looked at Naruto, who nods, and Iruka said, I see. Naruto said, hey Iruka-sensei, don't worry about my friend here. Things are cool with everyone. So can we get this over with, because I need to go wash my mouth out? With a sour look on his face. Iruka said, yeah, let's get that taken care of. Sasuke, are you okay? Your face is swelling. Sasuke opened his mouth and winced and said, my jaw. Iruka frowned and said, I think you might have broken it. Team 7 is Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto. You can go to the nurse to get your jaw checked out. Sasuke and Naruto, you can go wash out your mouth. Naruto said, thank God. As he got down the stairs and then got wide-eyed and turned around and walked backwards toward the door. Tenten asked, what the hell are you doing? Naruto said, watching my ass around Sasuke team. I like girls, not guys. Sasuke glared at Naruto as all the guys burst out laughing, and once Naruto and Sasuke left, Neji said, you know Tenten, I think I actually like your new friend. Kiba said, oh man, not you also. Maybe you and Sasuke should hook up since you both love the dobe. Neji glared at Kiba as he activated his bloodline, and Tenten frowned and thought, I see what you were saying, Naruto. Neji eyes then locked on Hinata and frowned as he deactivated his bloodline and said, can we just get this over with? I have other duties to attend to. Iruka said, right, Team 1 is. When Naruto walked back in the room, he saw Iruka handing papers to Team 9 and said, sorry to ask, but what now? And most of the class gone. Iruka said, you have to be here for your sensei to pick you up in about 30 minutes. Naruto said, I see. Do you guys need any help? Guy said, no, that is alright Naruto-san, my youthful team can handle it. Naruto blinked and asked youthful. As he looked at Tenten. Tenten groaned and said, explain later. Naruto said, right. As he walked up and sat down at the desk he was at before and unsealed the book he was reading. Irika, being curious, asked, what are you reading, Naruto? Naruto said, chakra theories. Irika nods and said, isn't that a little advanced for you right now? I mean, usually people don't read things like that until they're chunin. Naruto looked up with a scowl on his face and said, I actually find it very interesting. Did you know that you can seal a shitload of weapons into a single scroll? Irika said, yes, but what does chakra theories have to do with sealing? Naruto smirked and said, because in theory it is possible to seal a shitload of weapons in chakra without drawing the actual seals, and in theory it is also possible to use jutsu without the use of hand signs by finding the right balance of control and balance in the seals. Hand signs and seals are basically the same, as each is nothing more than a manifestation of chakra which is balanced and control. Look at the chakra control exercises: tree climbing, too much chakra and you blow off, not enough and you don't stick. Hand signs are nothing more than an aid to a person to learn to mold their chakra in a certain pattern, and seals is nothing more than a design to mold the chakra into a certain pattern. Basically, in theory, it means you can seal a shitload of weapons in a scroll in your pocket, and without ever touching the scroll you could mold your chakra to summon the weapons to your hand if you found the proper balance and control to do so. Irika was shocked while the members of Team 9 were wide-eyed, and Tenten said, well, that's interesting. Hey Naruto, if that's true, then if you ever figured out that jutsu you were telling me about last night, then would it be possible to, instead of teaching that jutsu to others, to create a seal that could be used to activate the jutsu? Naruto blinked and said, in theory, why? Tenten said, well, what if you reversed it, and instead of turning you into a woman, what if you were able to turn a woman into a guy? Irika asked, are you talking about that jutsu? As he looked between Naruto and Tenten. Naruto, who looked in thought, and said, I don't see why not. I mean, even though it is a shapeshift, the theory behind it is that of a henge, so if you had in mind a guy's body when you activated it, then it might be possible. Why? Tenten smiled and said, you know how you said you wanted to protect woman on Kunoichi only mission by making it where shinobi can turn into Kunoichi to aid the Kunoichi? Well, what if a Kunoichi is captured? I mean, there are fates worse than death that we face, and so if you were able to create a seal that activated that jutsu, then the guys who captured the Kunoichi wouldn't have a woman on their hands, but a guy, so it could be used to either trick the enemy into releasing the Kunoichi thinking she used a replacement with someone, or at least save her from the torture of what they could do to her until they killed her. I mean, I don't know if the seal would work after she's dead, but at least she wouldn't have to worry about experiencing that while alive. Naruto pulled out a pen and a paper and said, if I am able to come up with the proper balance, then I could make it where the seal would last as long as it had chakra to feed off of, and since the body holds chakra in it for several days after death, it is possible to make it once their body runs out of chakra to release it. But it should work, but the problem is once the seal is put on a person it won't ever be able to be removed, because in order to keep an enemy from seeing the seal and deactivating it, I would have to include a genjutsu seal along with it to hide it or cover it up somehow. I'll see what I can come up with. I'll send a couple of Kage bunch into the library to read up on human anatomy, and also have a clone or two work on this project each day working on a balance it out. I'll talk with Jiraiya when he comes to test me on seals and see if he could give me some help on this. I actually like the idea of it being a seal instead of a jutsu, because then I don't have to reveal the secret to my shapeshift. I can make that a family jutsu. As he began to do a few notes on the paper. Irika blinked and said, what just happened? Tenten smiled and said, if Naruto is able to complete that seal and jutsu, then Naruto will become the savior of Kunoichi everywhere, because he'll make it where we don't have to worry about being raped as women. Irika said, I don't mean to sound doubtful, but are you sure that you're not putting too much hope in Naruto there? I mean, what you're talking about is impossible, you can't actually change your gender. Tenten blinked and looked at Naruto and said he doesn't know. Naruto said, I thought he did. I mean, Irika-sensei passed out like all the other men from it, so I figured he knew the truth about it like Gigi does. Irika said, what are you talking about? Naruto said, my sexy no jutsu is what Gigi calls an advance henge, because it's real. Watch. Sexy no jutsu. As he was covered in smoke and Irika covered his nose and looked at Naruto and blinked when he saw Naruto had clothes on, and Naruto walked down to Irika's desk and said, see, pull my hair. Irika frowned and reached up and pulled on a pigtailed, and his eyes went wide and said, no way, it's impossible. Naruto released the jutsu and said, no, just difficult. I thought you knew it was real already. Irika said, I thought it was just a henge. Naruto frowned and said, well, I'm glad someone believes in me. As he looked at Tenten. Iruka frowned and said, I'm sorry but I don't know what to say about this, Naruto. I mean, how are you doing this? Neji, who had activated his bloodline, said it's a chakra construct. He covered his body with a layer of chakra and molded it to fit the frame of the illusion he is creating. Naruto said, close. What I actually do is cover every inch of my body both inside and out with chakra and mold the chakra to that of what I am hinging into. I've turned myself into animals, and even objects like a chair or a flagpole. As long as I can keep the mental projection active like you do for a hinge of what I am changing into, then I can hold it that long and only uses about as much chakra as a hinge, since the chakra I am using is absorbed back into my body, so very little is actually lost. Iruka said, so only someone with high chakra reserves would be able to do it. Naruto blinked and said, no, Konohamaru Gigi grandson, he sort of saw me knock out the old man yesterday and followed me around town bugging me to learn the sexy no jutsu. I finally agreed, and after 2 hours he was able to pull it off. Tenten said, you taught that to the Sandame grandson? Angrily. Naruto waved his hand and said, it was before we talked, I swear. Iruka frowned and said, oh god, Konohamaru knows the sexy no jutsu. Naruto said, yeah, but I didn't do nude woman with him. I had him try to imitate woman we saw walking down the road. Iruka said, thank goodness for small miracles, so he can pull it off. Why don't you teach it to Kunoichi now, Naruto? Naruto rubbed his head and said, well, it isn't finished. I mean, the clouds were covering parts of the body. I don't actually know enough to reproduce. Also, I like Tenten idea of making a seal for it. That way the actual process and hand sign required will only be known by those I chose to know it. Iruka said, but that will take a long time if ever, because you would have to learn sealing and then come up with a seal that could do what you're wanting it to do, if at all possible. I mean, you talking about creating something off a theory that might not be true. Guy said, Iruka-san, while I agree what you were saying is true, there is also something you should realize. A few minutes ago you thought it was impossible to make an illusion real, but through hard work, time and training it appears that he in fact made it real. Perhaps he will never succeed in doing this, but maybe what he does figure out will be used by others to make this theory him and Tenten were talking about a reality someday. Naruto said, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, Iruka-sensei. I know how impossible it sounds, and I should just accept fate that I will fail and quit now, but if I did that then I wouldn't be here today. I would have quit trying to be a ninja the first time I failed the final test, and yet here I am discussing something with fellow Konoha shinobi and Kunoichi about something that if it someday is successful then it would make the lives of our ninja better. I mean, look at Kyubi. The legend behind it says that Kyubi was too powerful to be defeated, but working together the ninja of Konoha succeeded in saving our village and defeating the undefeatable when fate was telling them they would all die. Iruka sighed and Neji frowned and said, a person is destined to a predetermined fate. It is not that you fight against fate but what fate has decided for you to do. Naruto blinked and looked at Neji and said, dude, how in the hell does a girl like Tenten like you with that 3-foot fate kunai shoved up your ass? Tenten gasped and said, Naruto, you shouldn't say things like that, and how did you know that? I never told you I liked him. Naruto said, when you were telling me about your teammates you said Lee and Neji-kun. I may not know you very well, but I do know you wouldn't add the kun suffix to his name unless you either greatly admired him or loved him. Perhaps it is a brother-sister bond or something more, whichever case I don't know, and that's your story. I just saying I don't see how you could like him when he believes everyone is controlled by fate. Fate can kiss my blonde ass. Neji glared at Naruto and said, you cannot fight fate. Naruto asked, if that is what you believe, then I will not disagree with you, but I will not agree with you either. I agree that we do have one fate in common, and that is death, but the road to our death and how long it is to get there is one I believe that we are able to choose. Neji thought a moment and said, I don't agree. Naruto sighed and said, look, you saying that every action and every choice we make is decided by fate, right? You're saying that no amount of training, no amount of preparations, no amount of anything will change the fate of what will happen at any given moment. Is that what you're saying? Neji said yes. Naruto said, all right, tell you what. If you and I had a fight, who would fate decide would win? Neji said, fate would declare me the winner because I have more experience than you, stronger, faster, smarter, and I am a member of the strongest clan, the Hyuga clan. Naruto said, fine, outside right now. You and I will have a fight. Your sensei will be the ref and will only stop the fight if one of us is going to die or someone is unable to continue. Do you agree? You win and I will agree with you that fate is predetermined. I win and you must accept the fact that we are capable of making our own fate. Agreed. As he offered his hand. Neji said, agreed. as he shook hands with Naruto. Guy said I don't agree. Naruto said doesn't matter to me. I gave my word I would fight him and I never go back on my word, let's go Fates bitch. As he walked out the classroom, Neji also started walking outside and Guy said Neji stop, I do not allow this. Neji said this is a duel of honor sensei that has been challenged and accepted. You have no choice but to allow it. As he walked outside, Guy frowned and quickly went outside followed by the others as the newly made genins also rushed outside. Soon Neji and Naruto were outside on the training ground and Guy frowned and said when I declare a winner you both are to stop, do you understand? Both boys said hi. Guy said alright, no killing begin. Naruto put his hands together and said Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. As 60 Kage Bunshin appeared and moved in a circle around Neji, shocking everyone but Tenten and Irika. All the Kage Bunshin smirked and said together, I may not be smarter, stronger, faster or skilled as you, but I do know one thing that you don't. Neji, who had activated his bloodline to keep an eye on the Kage Bunshin and trying to find the real one, said oh and what's that? The Kage Bunshin said never let an enemy determine the battlefield when there's an army of them and only one of you. As they all quickly reached down and grabbed small gravel stones from the ground and Tenten eyes widened as she saw what was about to happen and thought no he wouldn't. One said fire. As they all started throwing rocks at Neji as fast as they could as one said Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. As more Kage Bunshin appeared grabbing more rocks and throwing them as Neji began to try and dodge the rocks and striking the Kage Bunshin who were also running around throwing rocks and dodging as another shout of Kage Bunshin no Jutsu was heard as Neji began to get hit by more and more rocks. This went on for the next 10 minutes as Neji began to pant heavily from dodging and destroying the Kage Bunshin army that was now over 400 strong and some of them said give up yet Neji. Neji glared at them and said this is pointless. The clone said if those rocks would be kunais or shurikens you would be dead long ago. You've lost because I can keep going and you don't know where I am, do you? Neji said where the hell are you? The clones burst out laughing and said since we got this big crowd watching me defeat you it's nice and quiet back in the classroom so I can read in peace. By the way, it's time for us to meet our teams, you lose Neji. As the Kage Bunshin all went up in smoke. Inside the classroom Naruto blinked and smirked as he got the memories. Back outside everyone was looking around for Naruto and then they looked at the bruised and exhausted form of Neji and Kiba said man Naruto totally owned him. Neji glared at Kiba before he fell face first toward the ground. Irika looked at Guy and said I'm sorry about that guy, Naruto can be a little childish at times. Guy said actually Irika-san I think I might just shake Naruto hand. Neji will be feeling those bruises for the next few days but he did prove his point. Neji underestimated Naruto because he just graduated and thought that he was destined to win. Naruto defeated him by using his brain to not only pick a battlefield that gave him the advantage but also used a strategy to tire out Neji and distract him. Irika smiled and said yes, Naruto does get a good idea sometimes. Tenten walked over to Neji and squatted down and said so did you learn anything? Neji said yeah, your friend throws like a girl. Tenten got a twitched on her eyebrow before she slammed her fist into Neji's head and stormed off. Neji, who was rubbing his head, said damn it, that hurt Tenten. Tenten, who was halfway across the field, said good, you deserved it. Lee walked over scribbling down in his notebook and Neji asked what are you doing? Lee said taking notes. Naruto-kun is the dead last of his class and failed the graduate exam 3 times and he was able to defeat you. I must study the skills he used to defeat you so I may also defeat you, my eternal rival. Neji glared at him and Guy said that is most youthful of you, Lee, but now we must return to our duties in helping Irika-san. Let's go. As he ran toward the building with Lee closing his notebook and also quickly following. Neji looked at Irika and said a little help please, it hurts to even breath. Irika sighed and said I'll take you by the school nurse and check up on Sasuke. Strange, it just dawned on me that Naruto was able to beat the Rookie of the Year for both his class and your class in the same day. Neji glared and thought I will never hear the end of this. Inside the Hokage office Asuma said well Guy should be happy now. He's been complaining about that Hyuga kid's fate complex for almost a year now. The Sandaime said yes, though I don't think I ever saw a fight like that one before. Kakashi said yes, but it was the most basic of strategy. Defeat a superior fighter by superior numbers of inferior fighters. Kurenai said true, but I don't think the fight was his real objective. He seemed to be more interested in that book he was reading, and I must admit the idea of the seal the girl and him were coming up with sound very interesting. If he is able to make it, I know I would want it. Kakashi said I doubt he will though, Kurenai. It would take him countless hours to even understand the basic of sealing, and that is if he were to even complete that jutsu of his, which I don't believe he will be able to. The Sandaime said, don't you think you are being a little hard on him, Kakashi? I mean, it is a novel idea in my opinion. Kakashi said if he could do it I would agree, sir, but I do not believe in fantasy. I have always been a realist. If his team passes, I will not aid him in his plans on that jutsu or seal. I will teach him and his team the value of teamwork, and if I deem they are ready, I will aid them in their personal development, but I will not waste my time on fantasy or dreams of grandeur. Each one has to show me that have what it takes to be ninja, and are also willing to work on it. Asuma sighed and said, you come off cold, Kakashi, but I do understand what you're saying. Naruto is the dead last of his academy, and even though it appears that he is becoming more serious, he will have to prove that he is indeed dedicated. Then there is the girl on your team. She is one of the Uchiha biggest fangirls, and though some of that may have been broken today, it will take a lot of time and hard work before she is ready to truly be a kunoichi, and then there is the Uchiha. He's your worst case scenario. Kurenai and Kakashi both agreed, and the Sandaime said, well, if that is all, you three are dismissed to get your students. Asuma and Kurenai both left, and Kakashi waited until they were gone and said he is a lot like his father though. I do hope he does succeed in his goal. If he does, then he will gain the respect of a lot of women and by proxy men. Sarutobi said Kakashi Naruto is doing a lot of private training as well as some training with the girl on Guy's team. She knows the truth about him and has accepted him for him, and she is trying to help him. I am aware of what he is learning so far, and I have made a few deals with him should he prove himself, so don't be surprised if he advances quickly his skills. Also, do not let him know I have told you about his friendship or his training. I want you to act like you think he is just fresh out of the academy and knows only the basics and the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. If he reveals more, then you can use it, but don't push him to reveal what he knows or don't know. I do not know his current level, but I do know the general idea of where he is. Do you understand? Kakashi asked, do you want me to hold back and let him do his own thing? Sarutobi said, no, train them the best you can, but I thought I would warn you should he reveal he knows something the others he graduate with don't. Kakashi said, I understand if there comes a time where I need to gain his trust, do I reveal our past together? Sarutobi said, only as a last resort. Umbu identities are supposed to be hidden for a reason. Kakashi nods and said, if that is all, then I will take my leave. Sarutobi nods and Kakashi left in a swirl of leaves. Back at the academy, Naruto was reading when the other students came in and Kiba said, dude, that was totally awesome the way you owned him. How did you actually make real clones? Naruto looked up and said, you say something, Kiba. Sorry, I was really interested in this book and wasn't paying attention. Kiba growled and said, I was asking how did you make solid clones? Naruto said, oh that. It's a secret. As Kiba face faulted. Before anything else could be said, Tenten walked in the room and walked up to Naruto and slapped him upside the back of the head and said, Baka, do you have any idea how stupid that was? Naruto said, what are you mad that I beat the guy you have a crush on? Tenten slapped him upside the head again and said, no idiot, he's had that one coming for a while now actually. I was talking about the fact you could have killed yourself out there. The Kage Bunshin no Jutsu is a Jounin level forbidden jutsu for a reason. Shocking everyone who was listening in and wondering how Naruto knew such a jutsu. Naruto frowned and said, I know I need to watch out for the mental feedback, but what's the problem? Tenten grabbed Naruto's jacket and pulled him to his feet and screamed, the problem is that it divides your chakra evenly each time you make them. Not the chakra in your clones, but your chakra. Take a gallon of water to represent chakra, make a Kage Bunshin, and you then only have half a gallon, make another, and you only have a quarter of a gallon, make another, and you only have an eighth of a gallon, another is a 16th of a gallon. Each time you made those, you were cutting your own chakra reserves down to the point you could have died from chakra exhaustion. I know you have more chakra than Hokage-sama, but just throwing it away like that was stupid and dangerous. You didn't slip out of the fight until you had already used it 10 times. You may not know it, but right now your reserves are only a little bigger than that dog over there, and you need that to live. If you would have tried that jutsu one more time, you would have either passed out or died. Do you understand? As she shoved him back into his seat. Naruto looked shocked and said, I didn't know. I didn't think about it since it's so easy to make them for me. Tenten huffed as she crossed her arms and said, Naruto, if you are going to fight an enemy using cannon fodder tactics like you just did, then you should only make Kage Bunshin once and have your Kage Bunshin make Kage Bunshin once. They will only be at 1/4 of your chakra reserves, but with as many as you could make, you could possibly create an army of 10,000 Kage Bunshin. They can use most of the jutsu you know, so if you had an army of 10,000 using a simple fire jutsu, you could destroy an entire village in one attack. I told you to work smarter, not harder. You're smarter than what I just saw. Naruto, stop trying to get everyone's attention and do what you got to do, and people will see you and not the idiot they see you as now. As she turned and started to walk away, and Naruto said sorry. Tenten said, it's not me you should be saying sorry to. It's yourself. I'm just your friend, I don't have to live your life. As she walked up to where Irika and Lee were, Lee asked quietly, don't you think you were a little mean to him, Tenten? Tenten said, no Lee, my duties as a kunoichi as well as those to my family leave me little time to make friends, so if I actually try to be friends with someone then I don't want to see them die being an idiot. Naruto, who was looking down, heard this, and thought, damn it, this is not how I wanted things to be. The Jounin sensei all began to come and get their students with Sasuke and Neji both returning, who both glared at Naruto. Team Guy left also with Irika, and it's been 3 hours now with Naruto reading his book in the back of the class and Sakura looking between Naruto and Sasuke every few minutes biting her lip, and she finally asked Naruto what's up with that girl earlier. Are you and her going out? Naruto said no, we sort of met in the aftermath of the Mizuki incident the other night when he caused some trouble that he had to be restrained by force before Umbu took him away to prison for breaking several laws. We sort of became friends after that. Sakura said, just friends. She seemed to worry about you or something. It wasn't the thing friends usually do. Naruto laughed and said, Sakura, let me ask you this, what is your goal for the future? Sakura said, huh, what do you mean? Naruto said, like I plan to work as hard as I can to become Hokage. For me, it's not a dream, but more of a goal. What is your goal? Sakura frowned and said, I don't know why. Naruto said, what about you, team, do you have a goal? Sasuke said, to kill a certain man and restore my clan. Why? As he looked at Naruto. Naruto said, Tenten has a goal also. She doesn't like the way women are treated, as if they are weaker than me, and so she is working to prove that kunoichi can be just as good of ninja as shinobi. Did either of you see her hands? Sakura asked, what about her hands? Naruto said, look at your hands, Sakura, tell me what you see when you look at them. Sakura looked at her hands and said, I don't know, I don't understand what you were getting at, they look like a pair of hands to me. Naruto said, your nails are long and painted, showing you take a great deal of time making them look pretty. Your hands are also smooth and blemish-free, showing you take very good care of them, probably with some lotions or other things like that. Am I right? Sakura said, of course you are. What kind of woman doesn't take care of her looks? Naruto said, I didn't ask about your looks, and you asked what kind of woman doesn't worry about her nails and the softness of her hands. A kunoichi, Sakura. Sakura said, hey, I'm a kunoichi, and I take care of myself. Naruto said, I dare you to walk up to any kunoichi of Chunin rank or higher, Sakura, and look at their hands. Sure, you will see some care that has been taken care of them because they are women, but you will also see calluses and tiny scars from hours and hours of personal training and hard work that shows exactly how they have lived long enough to make it to Chunin rank. Tenten knows this, and has worked hard for her skills. She trying to prove herself to everyone including herself and doesn't care what others say about her. She will succeed reaching her goal or die trying. Sakura frowned, and before she could say anything a voice from the door said, sounds like you are in love with the girl whatever her name is. Naruto looked over and narrowed his eyes and saw Kakashi, who smiled and said, Team 7, meet me on the roof. Before he went up in smoke. Naruto got up quickly, sealing his book away, and started toward the door when Sasuke grabbed the back of Naruto's jacket and slammed him head first into the wall, where Naruto's nose sounded like it popped. Sasuke, who had Naruto pinned, said, now we're even for earlier, dobe. As he shoved Naruto again before walking out of the class. Sakura, who saw this, was wide-eyed and asked Naruto, are you alright? Naruto grabbed his nose and Sakura winced as she heard the sound of bones breaking, and he said, yeah, go on, Sakura, I'll be there in a minute. Sakura frowned and took one last glance before she left. Naruto thought, I deserved that. As he wiped the blood off his face and went to the bathroom on his way up the stairs to the roof. When Naruto got up to the roof, Kakashi said, nice of you to join us. I expect you to be more punctual. Naruto said sorry I got lost on the road of life. In a non-caring tone. Kakashi's eyes widened slightly, and he smiled behind his mask and said really, I'll have to inform Guy to have his kunoichi given a pregnancy test. Naruto paled and glared at Kakashi, and said look, I don't care if you have a problem with me, leave her out of it. She doesn't know really anything about me, so she thinks I'm normal. With eyes that turned a colder blue than normal. Kakashi frowned seeing this, and said sit down. Naruto sat down and Kakashi said alright, let's introduce ourselves. Sakura asked what do you mean? Kakashi said name likes dislikes dreams. Sakura asked why don't you go first since we don't know anything about you. Kakashi said my name is Hitaki Kakashi, I dislike I like I have hobbies. You next Pinky. Everyone thought all we learned was his name. Sakura said my name is Sakura Haruno, not Pinky. I like as she glanced at Sasuke and continued I don't know about the rest right now. Kakashi said I see, okay you next, Mr. Broody. Sasuke said my name is Sasuke Uchiha, I don't have many likes or dislikes. I have a goal to kill a certain someone and restore my clan. Kakashi said sarcastically right, okay you next Sunshine. Naruto opened his mouth but stopped as he remembered Tenten words and said my name is Naruto Kakashi said, and Naruto shrugged and said you've already been briefed on us by the Hokage since this is basically a long-term mission for you, and he briefs everyone on their missions before he gives them out. Also apparently you have been watching us for some time so you already know all I could or would say plus more most likely than I want you to. Kakashi was surprised and said, and why exactly do you feel I've been watching you already? Naruto said you knew which team the girl we were talking about earlier was on. The only way you could have known that was if you were watching us before we knew you were. So are you ready to give us our real genin test, or do we wait for it? Kakashi, I widened slightly as Sakura and Sasuke looked confused, and Sasuke said what do you mean a real genin test dobe? Naruto said I don't know all the details, but the test here in the academy was only to see if we were qualified to maybe be genin. Our jounin instructor gives us our real test to see if we become ninja. Kakashi said very good. You are very well informed. Did your friend inform you about the test? Naruto said only that I wasn't really a real genin when I let my ego get the better of me. She said I still had to prove myself that I am not just strong enough to pass, but skilled enough to pass. What good is power without control? Kakashi nods and said very true. You are correct, 66% of the students who passed today will fail the real test. Those who failed either quit the program altogether or returned to the academy for remedial classes. Are you all ready to face this test? Sasuke said bring it, I won't fail this test. Sakura said I won't let you down. Naruto said give it your best shot, I won't stop until I become Hokage. Kakashi said very well, meet tomorrow at training ground 7 at 5 a.m. and I wouldn't eat breakfast or you will throw up. Come prepare for survival training. CYA. As he left in a swirl of leaves. Naruto got up and Sasuke said don't get in my way dobe, you got lucky today with that sucker punch. As he put his hands in his pockets and left. Sakura looked at Sasuke retreating form and Naruto asked Sakura why do you like him? Sakura frowned and said I don't have to answer you baka. As she quickly left. Naruto sighed before he went to grab some ramen before he went to the woods he's been training in and began to train again. The next day Naruto was at training ground 7 reading one of his books when Sasuke showed up and a little later Sakura did as well. After 2 hours Sakura said is that book really that interesting? Naruto said yes. As he kept on reading. Sakura got up and walked over and looked down at the book and saw the designs of seals and asked what's that? Naruto said an elemental seal that can absorb any fire jutsu, sealing it away in a seal before a second seal drains it of its chakra making it harmless. As he looked up at her. Sakura said really, but why are you reading it? Naruto said the Yondaime was a seal master. I plan to be the greatest Hokage ever so I have to surpass each Hokage meaning that I need to become a greater seal master than the Yondaime. Sakura said baka you'll never become Hokage. As she turned and walked back over near Sasuke and sat down. Sasuke said where did you get that book? Naruto said the library they have hundreds of books like this in there. I bet Sakura could help you with finding anything you want with a smirk as Sakura perked up at the thought of helping Sasuke. Sasuke glared at him and closed his eyes to meditate. Naruto winced as the memory of a Kage Bunshin returned to him and thought so it did work. I wasn't for sure if the memory transfer would work with a Kage Bunshin of a Kage Bunshin, but I guess since it was made with my chakra, even if my clone made it, it would work. Now I just need to make sure every day to send a Kage Bunshin to train in the woods nearby while I am with my team. Another hour later, Kakashi arrived and said, "Yo, sorry I'm late, I got lost on the road of life." Naruto pointed his finger and said, "Damn lying copycat. That was my excuse yesterday." Kakashi smiled behind his mask and ignored Naruto, and said, "Anyways, I hope you are ready for this test. You are to try and capture one of these bells before noon. If you do so, then you pass, but if you don't, then you will be sent back to the academy." Sakura said, "But sensei, there are only 2 bells." Kakashi said, "That means that one of you will be sent back to the academy no matter what. You have until noon, come at me with the intent to kill. Are you ready? Go?" Sasuke and Sakura both jumped into the woods, while Naruto looked at Kakashi, and Kakashi said, "You did hear me say go, right?" Naruto frowned and looked at the bells and then at Kakashi, and bit his lip as his eyes darted back and forward a moment as he remembered several things, and he said, "It's a trick." Sasuke, "Sakura, the bells are a trick," he said. "There's a 66% failure rate on this test. That means 2 people off every team will fail this test, meaning there is no reason for there to be 2 bells. These bells are a distraction to make us waste time fighting him for the bells while the real bell is somewhere in a safe location. If you were given a mission to protect an object that was valuable, you wouldn't have it in the open like he is, you would put it someplace secure, someplace safe, while distracting the people who are after the object with a fake. The problem is that means we don't know where he's put the bell for security, and the only way we will find out is to capture him and interrogate him." "Sakura, I know you're smart enough to realize I am right. Think about Ino and her dad's job. He is trained to only interrogate people for information, and information gathering is important. This test is like a mission, it's 3 parts: first capture, then information gathering, then retrieval of the object. It's made to test us on 3 parts, 3 separate tests. The teams are wait, that's it. There's no I in team or teamwork. We are supposed to work together to capture you and get the information and retrieve the item, but since there is only one real item, only one of us could carry it. You are testing us to see if we would put the good of the team before the others. There were 9 teams that passed to graduate. 6 of those teams will fail, while the 3 who actually work together the best will pass, become ninja. Konoha only wants the best of the best for our ninja, so only those 3 teams who show the best teamwork will become real genin. We have to work as a team for the good of the mission. The bells are not actually important but a reason to distract us." Kakashi was wide-eyed as he watched Naruto figure out the test and thought, well, he did figure out the test, but he overthought it. Naruto looked around the clearing and waited for a few minutes and said, "Fine, you guys can wait till the right time to join in or ignore what I am saying, but I am willing to work with you to prove I'm a team player. I'll use my Kage Bunshin as cannon fodder to tire him out while you both come up with a plan to trap him." As he put his hands together and said, "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." 75 Kage Bunshin appeared, and Kakashi, who was standing there, thought, I wonder if he realized he gave them 2 chances to pass this test by letting him fight me to gather information, and they come in to take the reward of his hard work, or they actually join him and fight me together. Either way it won't matter. As he began to move quickly through the clones, punching and kicking them, causing them to go up in smoke as he moved. As the last clone was destroyed, Kakashi was waiting for the smoke to clear as he looked for the real Naruto, and only years of experience gave Kakashi time to move away to save his life from the downward sword slash from Naruto, who had climbed a tree and jumped off of it, bringing his sword down as the smoke from the Kage Bunshin covered his movements. However, Kakashi did not get away free of injury, as a slice appeared in his gown and vest. Kakashi looked at Naruto, who channeled chakra into his feet, overloading them, was blown forward as he tried to impale Kakashi, who dodged to the side, and Naruto sliding to a stop turn, throwing a kunai at Kakashi, who replaced himself with a log. Before Naruto had time to react, Kakashi appeared behind Naruto, chopping him across the neck, knocking him out, and thought, "Sensei, your son was actually very impressive, but he's too dangerous at the moment for me to safely test the other 2, and he's already passed the test. Now to see if they can." As he sat Naruto down on the ground before his eyes widened, and he used Shushin to move himself and Naruto to safety, and he growled and thought, that idiot, he could have killed his teammate. As he leaned Naruto against the post, he then jumped into the trees to find Sasuke and Sakura. A little later, Naruto was tied to a log by Kakashi, even though he was still knocked out from not only the chop to the neck, but also information overload from his Kage Bunshins who were training elsewhere. Sasuke and Sakura were also tied to a log, and Kakashi stood in front of them and said, "I am very disappointed in both of you. Sasuke, you put Naruto in danger by throwing those kunais when I had knocked him out and still had his body where I could have used it as a shield to protect myself. Naruto practically spelled out the test for you both. The bells were meaningless, it was a test to see if you would be willing to work as a team. There was no other bell or an interrogation part since nearly no new genin would ever be able to torture a jounin enough to make them give information, but he was right with everything else he said. I learned the hard way long ago that those who don't follow the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. Naruto, who is still passed out from the chop I gave him, was in plain sight of you both, and neither of you came to check to see if he was alright or even still alive. For that I truly disappointed in you both, especially when you both were nearby, and instead of doing that you Sakura went looking for Sasuke, who I was fighting since he put his teammate in danger, but since you jumped in to help Sasuke fight me, you used the very least amount of teamwork with the idea Naruto supplied you with to fight me after he tired me out a little. But you both are pathetic, and I hate the fact that since you three did work that small fraction that I have to pass all three of you. If I had my choice at this moment, I would send you back to the academy Sakura and have you removed from the program altogether Sasuke, while Naruto was put on the reserve list until a spot on an active team became available for him to pass. You both know the rope escape jutsu, right? Both nod, and Kakashi said, consider this your punishment, free yourself. As he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Sasuke, after Kakashi left, was the first to get free, and Sakura said, Sasuke-kun, you're free, could you help me? I'm having a little trouble with this. Sasuke said no. Kakashi-sensei said this was punishment. I need to train because the dobe actually was able to cut his vest and I didn't even get that even with your help. As he turned and walked away. Sakura looked down, and after Sasuke was gone she began to slowly free herself, and after she was free she looked at Naruto and thought, this is all your fault Sasuke-kun, and I could have been a team together and showed Kakashi-sensei our teamwork, but you had to be all glory hog and made me and Sasuke-kun look bad when we did work together. If anyone should be dropped from the program, it's you. As she stomped off. Chapter 4. When Naruto awoke, he found himself tied to a log and blinked as he looked around and said, hey, what the hey, someone let me go. What's going on? As he tried to get free. Naruto frowned and tried to get free, and after 30 minutes he thought, damn it, why the hell was I tied up, and where is everyone? They left me, they all tied me up and left me for dead. Damn it, did we even pass the test? How the hell am I supposed to get free? As he tried some more to get free. After a while, Naruto looked at the wire tying him down and thought, damn it, how can I escape? If only I could get to my weapons and cut myself free. Wait, cut? No, I haven't even gotten close to doing that, but what choice do I have? As he began to concentrate on folding his chakra and trying to escape by cutting the wire with his wind element. For hours later, Naruto was near exhaustion and thought, this isn't working, I can't do this, I don't have the control to do this, I'm never going to let this happen again. I'm going to train to get my chakra control and my wind control so good I can cut anything no matter how tired I am. I've got to try something else. Maybe if I compress my chakra and release a huge bubble of chakra at once, it will loosen the ropes enough for me to escape, I hope. So he closed his eyes and began to concentrate, putting as much chakra together as he could as he kept concentrating until he felt like he was about to pass out from using so much chakra, and he released it, and at that moment he passed out due to chakra exhaustion and pain. As what wind chakra manipulation he could do, as well as the amount the chakra was compressed when he released it. The chakra shot out of his body like a Hokage, and cutting the wire, the log that ground his body and his cloths, while also creating a sphere 15 feet wide around his body and at least 2 feet deep in the center where his body lay. In less than 2 minutes, Umbu as well as several other ninja including the Hokage were at the scene, and the Sandaime saw Naruto and looked around and said, what happened here? And Umbu said, sir, my team was first to appear and we found him just as he is now. I do not know what happened here, but from what I can tell it appears by the damage that he was attempting to use wind manipulation, sir. Kakashi, who had arrived, looked at Naruto and frowned, and the Sandaime asked Kakashi what happened. Before Kakashi could say anything, the sound of quiet sobs was heard and a mumbled noise was heard, and the 30 people who had gathered looked at the source, and the Sandaime saw that Naruto had tears going down his face, and he heard, why did they leave me, why am I tied up, why? Kakashi turned and slammed his fist into the tree behind him and said, sir, I do not know everything, but earlier Naruto figured out the test in the first 2 minutes as I had reported to you, and I had tied all 3 of them up even though Naruto was passed out after I knocked him out so I could test the other 2 without his interference, and I tied him up so he wasn't laying face first in the ground. I asked Sasuke and Sakura if they knew the rope escape jutsu, and they both said yes, and I assumed that Naruto did as well since they did, so I left to report their team passed. It appears that he didn't and they left him tied up here, and this must have been the result of him trying to free himself after 5 hours since the test ended. Sir, I take full responsibility for this as it was failure on my part for not making sure he was alright when he woke up. I had assumed his teammates would have woke him up and freed him, but it doesn't appear so. The Sandaime said, I see, Kakashi, I don't care if you have to quit reading your books altogether. I want a demonstration by Naruto within 2 weeks showing that he can perform the rope escape jutsu. That lesson was taught by Mizuki at the academy and appears to be another lesson he sabotaged Naruto on. I do not care what anyone's personal feelings for Naruto are, but he is a Konoha shinobi like anyone else. Do you understand what I am saying, Kakashi? Kakashi said, yes sir, I will make sure to teach it to him personally. The Sandaime looked at Naruto and said, I shudder to think how long he would have been here if he didn't do what he did. That must have been a final desperation move. Kakashi, take him to the hospital and make sure you are there and find out if you are correct, and if so explain what happened. We don't need him thinking you're another Mizuki waiting to betray and kill him, or his trust in our village could be lost. Kakashi nods and an Umbu said, sir, I'm sorry for interrupting, but if I may ask a question. The Sandaime nods and the Umbu said, I first want to say that I do not have a problem with him and his status, but what I was wondering is why he was allowed to pass in the first place from the academy when he failed the actual genin test. The Sandaime said, first, for the past 3 years the only thing that he has failed is the clone no jutsu. Every other part of the test he passed 100% on. If he could have performed that jutsu, he would have graduated already 2 years ahead of those his age. Now, as you all know, the clone jutsu takes only a very small amount of chakra to make it, which is why it is used as a distraction. Naruto is able to produce hundreds of Kage Bunshin. I myself, if I used all my chakra, could only produce maybe 40 if I am lucky. If you see that and understand exactly how much chakra he has to control to do any jutsu, and he can perform the replacement and henge perfectly, you would understand his problem is that it is impossible for him to make a clone no jutsu unless he had chakra control on the level of Tsunade or even greater. When that information was presented to me, I saw it was a factor that no one including myself failed to take into account. Now the next thing, Naruto has stealth skills surpassing that of even some of our Umbu. He was able to paint the Hokage monument in broad daylight wearing orange, and he wasn't noticed until he was done. He also showed skills in infiltration by getting past the security in the Hokage tower and escaping outside the village for several hours, while only one person who was not aware of the fact Naruto was being tricked by a superior was able to find him. Take that in effect, it means that if Naruto doesn't have the skills to be qualified to pass, then most of our forces including some of our Umbu are not qualified to be a ninja. If other countries found out about Naruto abilities and that we did not pass him, then Konoha would be a laughingstock to other countries and our clients would seek out business elsewhere, and if Konoha doesn't accept Naruto, who's to say another village wouldn't try to recruit him, seeing the potential that many in our village refuse to admit. We're lucky that his strong will and determination wants to prove himself here thanks to the few who have accepted him, because I would hate to see what he could do if he became our enemy. Kakashi said also, if you think he isn't qualified in the bell test where I had ordered him and the others to come at me with the intent to kill, had I not had years of experience and trusted my instincts, I would be in the hospital from the trap he used against me. He had me believe that he was going to use numbers of Kage Bunshin to wear me down so his teammates could join at the end and get the bells while I was weak, and I underestimated his ability. My shirt and jounin vest were sliced in half when I dodged at the last second when he used the Kage Bunshin as a smokescreen when they were dispelled to hide his attack as he came down from above with his sword ready to strike as he fell. Many were shocked hearing this, and a few gave Naruto another look while gaining him a little respect. Kakashi walked over and placed his hand on Naruto before they left in a swirl of leaves and said, I don't want this spread around. Umbu, repair the damage and return to your duties. As he left in a swirl of leaves. When Naruto awoke, he found himself on a bed, and after a few moments of letting his eyes adjust, he found that he was inside his apartment. He sat up looking around and found himself wrapped in bandages. A noise from another room alerted him of someone else being there, and Kakashi walked into his bedroom and Naruto blinked before the memories of what happened returned and he scowled at Kakashi. Kakashi said, in case you're wondering, after whatever it was you did destroyed part of the training ground, the Hokage, myself and several other ninja arrived and found you in a crater wounded. We believe we know what happened but would like to hear from you to see if it's true. I took you to the hospital and made sure they treated your injuries correctly before I brought you back here to rest. Could you tell me what happened? Naruto glared at Kakashi and said, why should I? Kakashi sighed and reached into his vest pocket and pulled out a scroll before unsealing a Umbu mask and putting it on. Naruto's eyes widened and whispered, Inu. Kakashi took the mask back off and said, yeah, I'm Inu. Naruto frowned and asked, why was I tied up? Why did you all leave me there? Why would you do that to me after all the times you saved me? As he looked at Kakashi questioningly. Kakashi asked, when you woke up, did you see Sasuke or Sakura? Naruto frowned and shook his head no, and Kakashi sighed and said, after you figured out most of the test, good job on that. By the way, I knocked you out and Sasuke attacked me at that moment. I had to shushin us both away and I put you against the training log to go test both Sasuke and Sakura who barely worked together. Actually Sakura tried to help Sasuke, but with the way you explained it I had to pass them. I was angry at both of them and told them that you should be put on another team while both of them were dropped from the program. I had tied them both to a training log and you had slumped to the ground and I didn't know how long you would be out. I tied you as well up. I then chewed both Sasuke and Sakura out and asked them if they knew the rope escape jutsu. Naruto asked the what? Kakashi sighed as he rubbed his hand through his hair and said it was something the academy was supposed to teach you. I assumed that since both Sasuke and Sakura said they did, you did as well, so I told them that it was punishment for the poor job they did during the test and I left thinking you knew it as well, and I was planning to ask you all today how long it took you to escape from it so we could work on the jutsu to improve your time if I didn't think you were up to level. I'm sorry for failing you on that. Naruto looked down and said I forgive you, it was my fault for not knowing that jutsu. Kakashi said, which is why I am going to teach it to you. Naruto asked, so we did pass, did Sasuke and Sakura get the third bell? Kakashi laughed and said there's a saying about looking underneath the underneath, but you looked so far under it you came out on the other side of the world. There was no third bell, the 2 bells were a trick to see if you would work as a team. Those who don't follow the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. I guess that makes me worse than trash. Naruto shook his head and said no, but I don't think I can trust Sasuke and Sakura. I mean you were justified, but they, Kakashi said, might have thought you knew it as well. I did chew them out pretty good over their performance, and may have had that on their mind as well. I can understand how you feel, but things might not be actually as bad as they seem now, or they could be worse. What I am saying is they are your teammates like it or not, and unless one of you get promoted, injured, die or quit, you're stuck with each other. Naruto frowned and thought a moment and said alright, I'll try and get along with them and trust them, but I'm going to also watch myself around them in case they are like others I've dealt with before. Kakashi smiled and Naruto asked, so what now? Kakashi said, well, your cloths you had on were destroyed, but your sword was undamaged. I also found your training weights, and I replaced them and your cloths you lost by matching them with the ones you had here in the closet. Since this was still my fault, I noticed you had a storage seal on your arm. What's in it if you don't mind me asking? Naruto frowned and said, you won't tell anyone, will you? I mean not even Sasuke and Sakura. Kakashi said, no, I promise. Naruto wiped some blood across it and out popped a scroll, and Naruto unsealed 4 books and handed the scroll to Kakashi. Kakashi read it and his eyes got wide and whistled and said, not bad. Who came up with this for you if you don't mind me asking? Naruto said, my friend Tenten Gigi knows already about all this, and he gave me these 2 books after I read the basics Tenten gave me. Kakashi looked at the books and his eye widened slightly seeing one of them and said, did he know my sensei wrote that one? As he pointed to the one on chakra theories. Naruto said, Dad was your sensei. As he slapped his hand over his mouth and looked at Kakashi with fear in his eyes. Kakashi frowned and said, why did you say the Yondaime was your dad? Naruto sighed and said, there's a blood seal in the Kyuubi seal. The only way it could be there where it is located is if the person who wrote it was related to me, and since the Yondaime was an orphan. Kakashi said, I see you need to be more careful with that piece of information. Who else knows? Naruto said, just Gigi and Tenten. Kakashi tilted his head to the side and asked, why her? I figured Tsuchiya or Irika. Naruto said, she was there the night in the woods with Mizuki. She heard everything and accepts me as me. She wants to be my actual friend and believes in me and my dream. She means a lot to me for that. She's someone I don't have to hide things from. She talks to me and treats me as a person, and if I don't understand something she tries to help me understand it. She even gave me the talk nobody has ever told me about all the differences between men and women and explained to me why women get so upset with my sexy no jutsu. I feel I can be me around her. Kakashi said, I see, maybe I can arrange for her team and ours to work together on an occasion or 2 to allow you a chance to be with your friend. Naruto said, you would do that? With eyes wide. Kakashi nods and Naruto said, thank you Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi said, now Naruto, you can't tell anyone about me being an Umbu or Inu. We are given codenames and masks for reasons that must remain secret not only for me but for others. Naruto said, I won't tell anyone, but could you tell me about Dad sometimes? I mean, I know I'm not supposed to officially learn anything about him or Mom, whoever she is, until I make Chunnin and Jounin, but surely there is something you could tell me that wouldn't be classified or reveal the truth, anything. In a pleading tone. Kakashi said, I think I might be able from time to time. Naruto said, thanks. Kakashi asked, so about all this training, how are you coming along? Naruto thought a moment and said, well, with Tenten advice I can stand on water a few seconds with both feet about a foot off the shore, but that's not very far yet. Tree climbing I can get about halfway up a tree. Leaf balancing I can get the leaf to stay about a foot above my head, but I can't get it closer than that yet. I can generate a small breeze enough to move my hair with the great breakthrough, but the others I haven't made any progress yet. I've actually read all 4 books all the way through, and I have began to write down on a separate scroll. I didn't unseal the main points and theories on both sealing and chakra theories and questions I have about them as well as ideas for them. For some reason, both seem like I'm not actually learning them, but relearning them like this. As he pointed to a part of the seal on his stomach. Kakashi looked at it and asked, what about it? Naruto said, this isn't covered in either of the books I've read, but I know that is the actual chakra converter seal that turns Kyuubi chakra into my own, and it's based off the principle of the fire absorption seal I read about. But how do I know that? It's the same things with the theories on chakra, as well as the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. While it did take me several hours to learn it, I seem to have known part of the inner workings for it somehow. I can't explain it. It's weird. You don't think I have a bloodline or something, do you? Kakashi looked and thought a moment and said, I doubt it, Naruto. Maybe it's a part of your dad in you. I don't mean like that, I mean your dad was a seal master, that's common knowledge, so I know I can tell you that. Maybe you have the makings of one as well, but seals are dangerous, Naruto, and I want you to promise me you won't mess with Sensei Seal. Naruto said, oh, I already made that deal with Gigi anyways. It's why he was so willing to let me have those other 2 books. I mean, I pointed out that if I were to learn seals, then if something happened to the seal, then I would have a chance to warn others or get away before any danger could happen. We also agreed that if I ever wanted to do anything to the seal, then I would have to get his permission first. Kakashi said, good, tell you what. I don't know if you know this or not, and you can't tell anyone I know this, but one of the reasons you and Sasuke are on the same team even if you would have been ranked higher is because I specifically asked for you to be on my team right after you were born, but Sasuke has a bloodline though it hasn't activated yet called the Sharingan. Since his family was killed, I am the only person in the village who can teach him how to use his bloodline since I have it also right here. As he touched his height-covered eye and said, I lost my eye and my teammate gave me his before he died after saving my life. I don't like talking about it, and the only reason I am telling you this is because I want you to be able to trust me. Now when Sasuke activates his bloodline, I will have to focus a little on him to teach him how to use it properly. To make it up to you, I can see if I can find 1 or 2 more wind jutsu for you to learn after you can use all 5 of those correctly. I'll even see if I can't get some more books on seals for you that are usually restricted for higher ranking ninja. You could also check the library on seals and chakra theory. Naruto scowled and said, I tried, and I was told I couldn't come in there because I don't have a library card and only my parents could get it for me. Yeah, right. Kakashi frowned and said, how about this then, every time you complete 20 missions successfully, I'll buy you a book so you can look at it any time you want. Naruto eyes widened and said, you would do that for me, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi said, yeah. Naruto frowned and asked why though, I mean, as he tried to find the words to explain what he wanted to ask. Kakashi said, I owe your dad a lot. If I could have, I would have adopted you to raise you for him, but there were things that stopped me from being able to adopt you, and no, it's not the fox. Naruto said, let me guess, the council. Kakashi nods and Naruto said, yet Gigi explained about how I can't get away with some of the stuff I did before now that I am a ninja, or the council will make trouble for me, bunch of old farts. Kakashi bit his lip to keep from laughing, and Naruto looked at the clock and asked, do we have team practice today? Kakashi said, yeah, at 8. Naruto said, but it's almost 10:30. Kakashi smiled and said, I know. Naruto said, you're going to be late all the time, aren't you? Kakashi said, a ninja is never late or early. He arrives exactly when he wants to. Naruto said, I see, well if you don't mind, I don't like men seeing me get dressed. Kakashi said, really, maybe I should get Tenten to come help you. Naruto frowned and said, don't go there, sensei. She's a friend, my only friend my age. Kakashi said, relax, I'm just joking. Naruto said, I know, but I don't want to take the chance of angering her at me. Kakashi frowned and said, if she's going to really be your friend, you can't walk on eggshells around her or about her. If you do, your enemies could use her against you to either anger you or threaten to harm her. Now you need to get ready for our first mission and get to training ground 7 as fast as you can. Here is the directions for the rope escape jutsu. I want you to see how far you can get on it before the end of the week, and after that I will help you if you are having trouble. CYA. As he handed Naruto a scroll before he went up in a puff of smoke. Naruto frowned as he read the scroll and thought, that's it. Damn it, I could have gotten out of those ropes so easily if I would have known this. It may take me a little time to actually get it, but this seems pretty simple since it's similar to what I am doing for chakra control practice. As he got up and got ready. After creating a Kage bunshin, Naruto grabbed a cup of instant ramen and cooked it and ate it on the way to his team training ground. When Naruto arrived, Sakura screamed, "You're late." Naruto said, "You say something." As he rubbed his ear. Just then Kakashi arrived and Sakura, who was angry with Naruto, turned to him and screamed, "You're late also, Sensei. Naruto just got here." Kakashi said, "Sorry, I'm late. A black cat crossed my path and I had to take another road." As he smiled, making Sakura angrier. Naruto smirked, seeing what Kakashi was doing, and said, "Really, I had to get a stray dog out of my apartment who broke in while I was asleep." Sakura screamed, "Liars." Kakashi smiled and said, "Alright team, let's go get our first team mission." As he turned and pulled out a book and began to read as he walked. Naruto, seeing this, also unsealed a book and began to read, and Kakashi, seeing this, smiled as he saw the glares both Sasuke and Sakura were giving Naruto, and he thought, "I wonder how long it will take before he realizes why this is actually a smart thing once he learns to keep an eye on his surroundings." As he saw Naruto nearly walk into a tree. When they got to the Hokage office, the Sandaime raised an eyebrow at Naruto and Kakashi and said, "Seems you are already teaching your students, Kakashi." Kakashi said, "More like he's trying to copy the copycat. Perhaps I'll introduce him to the joys of Jiraiya-sama work." The Sandaime coughed and said, "Right, alright Team 7, your first mission is a D-rank mission to pick up trash out of the park on the east side of the village." Naruto blinked as both Sasuke and Sakura got shocked looks on their face, and Naruto said, "Isn't that the park most of the villagers go to relax when in the shopping district?" The Sandaime nods and Naruto thought a moment and said, "I see." Sakura said, "See what, baka?" Naruto said, "Look at the time of day it is, Sakura. Right now, the park is full of people trying to relax and enjoy themselves, most likely having lunch while shopping or going about their daily jobs. They don't want people disturbing them as they try to relax, so this mission is not only a chore to clean up the park, but also a side mission to do it with as much stealth as possible while working as a team without disturbing the villagers enough for them to complain, right?" The Sandaime said, "Mostly correct. There is another aspect that you will have to figure out yourself, but most of these missions, while seeming to be chores, also have another purpose, which is why we have genin to them instead of academy students. I am surprised that you figured that out so quickly. What gave it away?" Naruto said, "Tora, I've seen enough ninja chasing that cat too often to not think there had to be another reason for chasing it. Search and retrieval, right?" The Sandaime said, "If only all my genins would figure that out. I have a few genins who have been genin for years, and they still think D-rank missions' only real purpose is chores, when in fact they are designed to teach another aspect of being a ninja while completing a mission in a controlled environment. There is actually a record board with the fastest and slowest times of capturing Tora in the village that is only viewable by those of Chunin rank or higher, since they will never be able to try and break the record." At this, Naruto said, "Really, are there any prizes for breaking the record?" The Sandaime said, "Besides the mission pay, only bragging rights, I am afraid, to their fellow Chunin or Jounins." Kakashi said, "As interesting as this is, I am afraid we need to get to the park and complete our mission." When Team 7 got to the park, Kakashi said, "Well, go ahead and get started." Naruto said, "Hey Sasuke, why don't you take everything from the east entrance to the south entrance? Sakura could take the east entrance to the north entrance, and I'll take everything that's left." Sakura said, "Why should we listen to you, baka?" As she went to hit Naruto over the head, who stepped back away from her hit, making her scowl. Sasuke said, "We will work together in one area and move to the next. That way we can finish sooner." Naruto said, but Sakura said, "Don't argue with Sasuke-kun, he's smarter than you are, baka, and came up with a better plan, so shut up and help us." As she moved after Sasuke. Naruto frowned and looked at Kakashi and said, "We're going to have to do the work twice by following Sasuke directions, since we have people coming and going still, who will be dropping more trash that could go into the area we already done." Kakashi, who was reading his book, said, You say something." Naruto scowled and began to help Sasuke and Sakura, and Kakashi thought, "You're right, Naruto." 2 hours later, Team 7 was inside the Hokage office, and the Sandaime said, "So Kakashi, how did the mission go?" Kakashi said, "At the beginning of the mission, Naruto tried to lead the team by making a plan to divide the park into 3 sections, with Sasuke and Sakura both having smaller sections than his own, where they could have covered more ground quickly and finished the mission earlier, which was first questioned by Sakura, and then Sasuke came up with the plan for all 3 to work in one section to finish it first, which was agreed upon by Sakura, which Naruto reluctantly agreed to do so as not to cause a problem with the teamwork. In doing so, the team had to do the park twice to finish it because of the civilians who were using the park. The Sandaime said, I see. Sakura. Kakashi said, you questioned Naruto plan. What about his plan did you question exactly? Sakura said, I asked why should we listen to a baka like him. The Sandaime said, I see. Sasuke, what did you think of his plan? Sasuke said, dividing the team would have covered more ground but would have caused Sakura and me to not only do our work but come over and help Naruto cover his area since he had the most area. Naruto said, I was planning to make a Kage Bunshin to help us take one section of the park. There was a reason I was willing to take the largest section. Sasuke said, I did not know that, and I also did not know that we would have to go back and clean up the section again if the entire park was not clean at the same time thanks to the civilian using the park. The Sandaime said, I see. Naruto, what did you think of Sasuke plan? Naruto said, I could see where he was going with his plan, but I suspected that we would have to have the entire park clean at the same time if we were to complete the mission, which I knew would make us have to go over each section twice just to make sure each section was clean. The Sandaime said, I see. Sakura, now that you heard all this, which one do you think had the better plan? Sakura said, I still think Sasuke-kun had the better plan because at the time I was not aware of the fact Naruto was planning to use a Kage Bunshin or the fact we would have to go over each section twice. The Sandaime said, very well. While the mission was a success on the actual cleaning of the park, the ninja aspect was a failure on all three of you. Normally I would not have told you that part, but because Naruto figured out there was more to the missions than simple chores, I had to rate your mission as such. You all three need to learn to communicate all available information to your teammates to come up with the best decision. The correct course of action would have been a combination of you plan. Two of you should have taken 1/4 of the park and began working on them while the third went back and forward between the two, helping one finish one section first before helping finish the other section, while the one who finished first began one of the last half and repeated the process. By doing this you would still have had to do a quick sweep of the original half you finished to pick up any new trash, but would have finished the mission more efficiently and quickly as such. Now would you like another mission today, Kakashi? Kakashi said, no, I believe they have had enough for one day. The Sandaime said, then here is your pay voucher that you can collect from the mission office secretary. Dismissed. Naruto looked at his voucher and frowned as his teammates left, and the Sandaime said, yes, Naruto, is something wrong? Naruto said, is there any way I could get an extra mission? I don't care what it is, but I have things I need to pay for, and with $25 a mission, I'm not going to be able to pay for the things I owe or my own bills like food and utilities. Please. The Sandaime frowned and said, very well. How many extra missions do you need a month, Naruto at D rank? Naruto thought and said, well, I get the full payment of $75 for the mission if I do it by myself. The Sandaime said, actually $100. Kakashi gets 1/4 of your mission pay on top of his Jounin sensei payment. Naruto said, I see 3 extra a week if I can. Same Monday, Wednesday and Friday. The Sandaime said, very well. I will make sure to hold one that can be done solo for you, but I don't have any right now. I will have one for you Wednesday though. Naruto said, thanks Gigi. I owe you. The Sandaime said, well, if there is nothing else I need to get back to work on the paperwork. Naruto said, okay Gigi, have a good day. The Sandaime said, I'll try. By the way, good job on figuring out the true reason for D rank as well on your plan. I am proud of you. Naruto smiled and said thanks. As he left, the Sandaime smiled and thought, he's going to make you proud, Minato. Chapter 5. It had been a little over 2 weeks since that day when Naruto walked into the Wolf Claw weapons shop and Dustin blinked and said, long time no see, stranger. So what brings you here today? Naruto walked over and pulled out his wallet and handed Dustin $500 and said, there, that's the remaining balance on what I owed you. Dustin blinked and counted the money and said, you're right, and I owe you $20 back in change though. I thought it would take you a couple of months to get it though. Naruto rubbed his head and said, it might have if I worked at the pace of my team, but where my teammates have done a total of 15 missions since we began as a team, I have done a total of 32 missions. As his shoulders slumped, Dustin blinked and asked, how did you do that many? Naruto closed his eyes and rubbed them around the temples and said, Kakashi-sensei doesn't arrive until 11 a.m. and we do 1 mission a day, and then he lets us go, and on Saturdays he has us work on teamwork and sparring, and Sundays are our days of rest. I've been doing an extra mission solo after a regular mission Monday through Saturday, and on Sunday I do 3 missions. I think I'm going to take this Sunday off though. I'm getting really tired since I'm creating a Kage Bunshin first thing when I leave my apartment and he heads off to work on all my chakra control and jutsu training while I do physical training. He also does my seal training. Damn, this headache. Can't get rid of it, and it seems to be getting worse if that is even possible. Dustin said, I see, I guess that would explain the dark rings you got under your eyes. I didn't want you to work yourself to death to pay me back, kid. I wasn't in a hurry to get the money. Naruto said, I originally was only going to do 3 days a week of extra missions, but after checking my income versus bills I decided that I was going to get some extra cash put up to fall back on in case I got injured since I have to support myself, so I talked to Gigi again and all I have to do is let him know the day before and he will hold a mission back for me. I wish I could figure out a way to come up with extra cash that doesn't require my ninja skills, but I don't have any other skills that could be used for that right now, but I'm hoping that I might learn something with all these D-ranks I am doing to help me with that. Dustin said, I know what you mean, it's not actually a problem that you alone face. About 60% of our ninja force actually is in that situation, they just don't have any other skills to fall back on, which is why they stay ninja long after they should retire when their bodies can't keep up with the strain of being a ninja. I don't know how many customers I lost over the years for that simple fact. Naruto frowned and said, that's something I'll have to look into when I become Hokage. It seems like a waste of resources and lives. Dustin nods and Naruto said, anyways, I got another reason for coming today. I've come across a couple of problems. I've used all my sealing supplies practicing, so I need to get some more, and I also need to get another sword. Dustin blinked and asked why the one on your back doesn't appear damaged or anything. Naruto laughed and said, no, it's not that. Between my dodging exercise and trying to catch those damn chickens at the farm I work at sometimes for missions, I've gotten pretty quick on my feet and I think Tenten would say I've gotten my balance finally, but the thing is I need to do more than just swing my sword around if I am ever going to learn to use it. So I was thinking of getting a second sword and have a Kage Bunshin attack me and I block before I attack and he blocks and just go back and forward, where not only would I be learning to block but also attack with it and gain a little experience. Dustin thought a moment and said, that is actually a very good idea to help you learn the basics. Naruto said, yeah, I came up with it when I was dodging Edgar. Dustin asked, who's Edgar? Naruto scowled and said, Edgar's the damn rooster at the chicken farm. The bastard must be able to tell the QB in me because he keeps trying to kill me by pecking and clawing me to death. Hey, don't laugh, I actually got scars on my back from him and I never scar. Dustin waved his hand as he tried to calm down and said, sorry, so besides chasing chickens and fighting roosters, what else have you been doing? Naruto said, well, I had to catch Tora, had to help break a couple of wild horses that are supposed to be used by some movie company in a few months when they come to Konoha, though I think I broke my tailbone when I got thrown off them several times. I worked at the fish hatchery cleaning the ponds of slime after they drained the ponds. I had to help plow a couple of fields, paint a few fences after I built them, worked in the records office at the academy, worked in the mission record office, and my handwriting has gotten better as well as my seal making since I sort of had to rewrite the reports several times. As he looked sheepish, rubbing the back of his head in embarrassment. Dustin said, I see, so you've been doing all that by yourself. Naruto said, yeah, I also had to work at the Yamato Woodworks cutting down some trees and helping them cut the trees into usable pieces. I also did some stocking for the Yamanaka flower shop for their fertilizer bags that I actually made at this manure farm I worked at the day before. Dustin blinked and said, Naruto, have you been wearing those weights you bought? Naruto said, oh yeah, I've reached about 30 pounds each. After an accident the day of our real genin test, I couldn't remember how much I had on at the time, so I just put it all on and it hurt the first couple of days because I thought my arms and legs were going to fall off, especially when I had to do all that hammering, so I cut it back down to 20 pounds each and I got used to it real quick, so I added an extra 10 pounds to it. I'm going to wait until next week and then add some more weight. Why? Dustin said, just wondering, good job. So you need another sword and some more ink, blank scrolls and brushes, right? Naruto nods and Dustin said, Naruto, since you paid me back so quickly, I am going to give you a small line of credit. Up to $1,000 you can spend here and pay me back when you can think of it as a little help should you become injured, but I don't want to see you work yourself to death. I don't know if you notice yet or not, but you are about to collapse from both mental and physical exhaustion. I suggest that you take Sunday off and relax or sleep. If you run out of equipment and need them but don't have the money, you can use that credit and pay me back when you can, but don't kill yourself or burn out. All right. Naruto said, all right, so about those supplies. In a questioning and uncomfortable tone. Dustin said, I'll get them for you. As he left the room and came back with a scroll and said, I got you 10 bottles of ink, 20 brushes and 100 blank scrolls, as well as another sword sealed in here. That would be $400. Naruto nods and said, here's $200, and I'll pay the rest later, okay? Dustin said, sounds good here. As he pulled out a red book and wrote down in it, and Naruto blinked and said, I see, so you give credit to all your customers. As he saw his previous balance that was zero out now before the new balance was added. Dustin said, only those I trust. Naruto smiled and said, have you seen Tenten? Dustin said, she's out on a mission right now. She should be back sometime this week, why? Naruto said, oh, we were going to train together and I just was wondering why she hadn't come by the training ground I use while I got to go CYA. As he started to leave. Dustin said, wait, I was wondering how are you coming along with your SEAL training? Naruto thought a moment and said truthfully, I got nearly every SEAL in the books I'm reading memorized and I can reproduce them, but my brush strokes are still way off and look like a kid drawing with a crayon, so I am trying to improve in those areas. Especially after Irika-sensei, who was the person who had to help me with the paperwork at the academy and the mission office, told me that some of my bad grades in the academy was simply because he gave up trying to figure out what my handwriting was. Also, the guy at the chicken farm told me that he seen chicken scratch neater than my handwriting and made me rewrite everything that day, so I'm actually taking an hour before I leave my house and an hour after I get home every day and just working on my writing. Dustin said, yes, in sealing sometimes the size of the stroke is just as important as the stroke itself because the chakra is evenly spread out across the ink, and if one area is bigger than the other areas in the seal, then that area would be a weakened area in the seal. Naruto said, yeah, that's something I'm paying close attention to. Well, I got to go CYA. As he quickly left. After he was gone, Dustin thought, clever Hokage-sama. You're giving him jobs that will either help him in speed, strength, reflexes, chakra control, or more specific jobs that could help him with his kenjutsu and sealing skills. When Naruto got to his training ground, he saw Sasuke and Sakura sitting on the bridge, and he frowned as he walked over and Sasuke said, what's with the second sword dobe? Naruto said, training team. As he put his hands together and said, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. As 5 Kage Bunshin appeared and Naruto scowled and said, I really got to get my control better. You here? As he tossed the second sword to one. The Kage Bunshin caught it and Naruto said, I want you to watch us and look for places we swing wrong or things that look wrong. You too, I want one of you to work on leaf balancing while the other one work on the other leaf exercise. Now you with the sword, here is how we are going to do this. The Kage Bunshin said, I know already. I swing once at you and you block, and then I have to block as you try to counterattack. Naruto rubbed his head and said, yeah. As he looked sheepish. The Kage Bunshin said, ready. Naruto nods and jumped back when the clone attacked and said, whoa, slow down. You're not trying to kill me, just go slow at first and we will work on speed later. The Kage Bunshin frowned and said, but that's not fun. Naruto said, I'd rather live now and have fun later. The Kage Bunshin said, fine. Ready to try again. With a scowl on his face. Naruto nods and soon he blocked and tried to attack again at the same speed as the clone. Clang 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 off to the side. Sasuke was watching this with a scowl and Sakura said, Sasuke-kun, have you noticed how Naruto is acting so different from the academy? I mean, he's always seems to be doing something like reading those books or exercising, practicing the rope escape jutsu and the others we learned in the academy. We're always staying after to speak with the Hokage when we finish our missions. He doesn't even talk with us either unless it's when Kakashi-sensei is here, and then it's only him trying to tell us what he thinks about the mission we are on. Sasuke said, yeah, I notice. I think the dobe is getting extra training somewhere. I mean, you see how Hokage-sama and Kakashi-sensei always seem to give him their full attention like he's better than we are. Ever since that day of the stupid bell test. Sakura said, I think it's that girl, the one from the day we got our teams. Sasuke thought a moment and said, yeah, there's something going on between them. You saw the way the dobe listened to every word she said like it was orders from a sensei. Sakura thought a moment and said, you think she's a tutor? Sasuke blinked and asked, a tutor. Sakura said, you know, someone who helps others catch up when they're behind. In civilian schools, Mom told me that older classmen are sometimes tutors to younger ones to help them catch up when they are having trouble. We all know Naruto an idiot and he only just barely passed. Maybe he actually didn't pass like we all thought. Maybe the Hokage felt sorry for him and only let him pass because he playing favorites. We both see how Naruto gets to call him Gigi with such disrespect like they were family or something. I bet the Hokage just let him pass and hired that girl to tutor him to catch up. Sasuke thought a moment and said, maybe you're right. A Kage Bunshin who was watching for mistakes with the duel between Naruto and a clone scowled and went up in smoke from clenching his fist to hard with its nails, and Naruto and the other Kage Bunshin scowled as well, and Naruto, who was blocking a strike, let his anger get the better of him, and on his next strike a blade of wind shot out of his sword, destroying the Kage Bunshin and slashed the tree behind it, and the tree began to fall. Crash! The sound of the tree falling drew Sasuke and Sakura attention, and Naruto stood there wide-eyed as he saw it fall, and he said, "Whoa." Sasuke got up and said, "What happened?" As he looked at the tree and the stump and thought, this is a straight cut, he cut it, but how? He was over 10 feet away. Naruto said, "I don't know." As he looked at the tree and the sword on the ground and thought, I used wind chakra to cut it. I know that is what I did, but how? I must have sent chakra into the blade to do it. As he sent chakra into the blade again and swung it and didn't see anything, but one of his Kage Bunshin saw something and dispelled, and Naruto eyes widened slightly, and he walked over to the tree trunk and stepped back where the sword would miss the tree by 2 inches, and he sent a large amount of chakra into the sword and swung it down at the tree and looked and saw a cut appear on the tree and said, "Whoa." Kakashi said, "Whoa indeed. It appears as if you are starting to get the hand of you elemental affinity." Sakura screamed, "You're late." Kakashi ignored her, and Sasuke said, "What do you mean by elemental affinity?" Kakashi said, You say something. Oh, elemental affinity. Everyone has an element that their chakra is naturally more aligned with. Some people even have 2. The Shodaime Hokage had elemental affinity to 3 because of his bloodline. Wood, water and earth. Each affinity has a different ability. Fire burns, wind cuts, lighting crinkles, water soaks, and earth crumbles. Sasuke said, so the dope here has an elemental affinity to wind since he used his chakra to cut the tree. Kakashi nods, and Sakura asked, "But what are we?" As she looked at Kakashi questioningly. Kakashi said, "I've been expecting this for a while since Naruto been doing wind manipulation practice in front of you. Here, put some of you chakra into this, and I'll be able to tell what you got." As he handed Sakura and Sasuke both a small piece of paper, and both did, and burned, and Sakura soaked. I know some of you are going to say that Sasuke has lightning also, but I believe he didn't actually get his lightning affinity until after Kakashi taught him the Chidori. Kakashi could use other elements that he didn't have affinity to thanks to his Sharingan. Kakashi said, "Well, you have fire, Sasuke, and Sakura has water." Sasuke frowned and said, "So what does that mean?" Kakashi said, "That means that you will get fire jutsu easier than other elements, but water will be harder for you to learn, while Sakura will get water easier and fire will be harder for her to learn, and Naruto wind easier and lightning harder to learn." Sasuke asked, "Which is stronger?" Naruto said, "It's not which is stronger, but which is used more wisely, Sasuke." Sakura said, "Oh, and what did your tutor say to make you think that?" Naruto growled, and Kakashi asked, "Tutor?" Naruto scowled, said, "Sasuke and Sakura think that Tenten is a tutor Gigi order for me after he let me pass because of how close we are. They think that I shouldn't even be a ninja because I'm too stupid." Sakura gasped and said in an accusing tone, "You were spying on us." Kakashi scowled behind his mask, and Naruto said, "No, you and Sasuke were talking so loud and open right in front of me I had no choice but to hear it." Kakashi said, "Enough, you 3 are ninja not children, and you are acting like spoiled little brats who I should bend over my knee and spank." As he unleashed some ki to gain their full attention. Kakashi looked all 3 in the eye and said, "All 3 of you failed to realize the main reason why I am 3 hours late. One of you halfway got it, but still failed it. I gave you this time to not only work on your personal training like Naruto has been doing, but I also give you this time for all 3 of you to work on your teamwork and help each other train. Since all 3 of you can't seem to do this without being ordered to, I will make you do it." As he walked over to a tree and walked up it and stood upside down on a branch, much to Sasuke and Sakura's surprise. Kakashi said, "This is a training exercise called tree climbing. You have to learn to control a certain amount of chakra to stick to the tree. Too much, and you blow off; not enough and you don't stick. From now on, when you 3 arrive in the morning, you are not allowed to do anything else except this exercise until you can go up and down the tree 25 times without a break and without messing up. Until all 3 of you can show you can do that, I will not request any higher ranked mission beside a D rank, because you are not ready for a C rank mission. Now for the next hour, I want you 3 to work on this before we do our mission. Use a kunai to mark your progress. Begin." Naruto frowned as he sheathed his sword and turned and began to walk up a tree slowly, and made it about 25 feet up before his control slipped and he marked the tree. Sasuke and Sakura were wide-eyed and both looked at a tree and began to try the exercise, with Sasuke making it 7 feet before he was forced to cut the tree and flip, and he glared at the tree, and then Naruto and Sakura said, "Take that, Naruto." I made it on my first try. Naruto started to say something when Kakashi said, Sakura, shut up and keep working. You only made it to the top once and had to stop, so you have to start all over. Sakura's eyes went wide and said, but Kakashi said I am your sensei and you will listen to me now, get started. Sakura frowned as Naruto slowly walked up to the tree and going 1 foot at a time slowly worked his way up past his mark and made it nearly to the top before his control slipped and he was forced to mark the tree. Sasuke glared at both Sakura and Naruto as he tried again and only made it 5 feet before he blew off. Naruto said, you're doing it wrong, Sasuke. Sasuke gritted his teeth and said, oh, and how do you know that? Naruto said, because I've been doing this exercise already every day since we became a genin and I actually can if I wanted to make it up and down this tree all the way right now all 25 times, because I know the secret behind this as well as the rules that Kakashi-sensei didn't say, like the real reason Sakura got this exercise right the first time. Sakura put her hands on her hip and said, really, Baka, then why don't you prove it? Tell us what the oh so smart words of your tutor are. Naruto frowned and looked at Kakashi and asked, after we finish our 25 times up and down, what do we have to do, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi said, you may do your own training until I arrive or rest until our hour here is over. Naruto said, very well. As he walked behind a tree away from the views of the others and a puff sound was heard and Naruto walked back around and said, fine, you count, Sakura. As he took off running up and down the tree and to the shock of everyone but Kakashi, who knew what he did when he went behind the tree. He ran up and down the tree perfectly as Sakura said in a shocked voice, 1 2 3 4 23 24 25. Naruto actually kept going and ran up and down it for 5 more times before he touched the ground and said, there, see, I did it and can do it anytime I like just as easily. Now to answer your question, Ms. Oh so great bookworm. Imagine you had a water hose turned on just a little where the water come out. It's easy to put the water where you want it and not waste very much because the water is so small. Now imagine the same water hose with your finger over the end and the water turned on full blast and you try to do the same thing. It's harder to control a large amount of chakra without wasting it, which is why Sasuke only can make it a couple of feet before he has to jump off, is because he actually has large chakra reserves, and you, Sakura, are able to make it up to the top because you barely even have enough chakra to come out the water hose. Nobody told me that, Sakura. I read it in a book on chakra at the academy. You know the funny thing, Sakura, I have a friend who is 8 years old. He is only a child and he has larger chakra reserves than you because he can at least run up and down the tree 6 times without stopping, so that means you're weaker than an 8-year-old child, and I can go get him and bring him here to prove it any time I want, just to show you if you doubt my words. What the hell did I ever see in you and why the hell did I ever care to try and make you happy? As he glared at her. Sakura was shocked because of what Naruto said to her, and she looked at Kakashi and asked, is he right, is that the truth? Kakashi said, I don't know about the 8-year-old child, but the rest is true. I suppose the child part could be true since I graduated from the academy at the age of 5 and was a chunin at the age of 6. Making all 3 look at him with wide eyes. Kakashi said, well, get to work, all 3 of you. I don't care if you did do it 25 times already. You need the practice. Naruto nods and got back to work, and after 25 minutes Sakura was panting, only able to do it 3 times without stopping, and Sasuke made it only 10 feet up. Kakashi closed his book and said, all right, it's time for a mission. Sakura said, oh god, I haven't felt this tired since I was trying to beat Ino at the academy. Can't we take a break to rest, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto blinked and a smirk appeared on his face as a plan formed which no one noticed. Kakashi looked at her and said, nope. This is not only training but punishment since you 3 can't seem to get along. Sasuke glared at Naruto as they started to the village and said, how the hell were you able to run up and down that tree so many times? Naruto looked at Sasuke and said, it's what I was going to tell you, and Sakura was the other secret to this training. Before Sakura pissed me off by insulting my friendship with Tenten. I admit there are things I don't know that others know because I have had to teach myself to do basically everything my entire life. I was kicked out of the orphanage at the age of 5 because they didn't have room for me anymore, so I was given an apartment that I had to pay rent on, and the only income I had was the $600 a month I was given from the orphans fund. Out of that money, I had to pay my rent, utilities, food, cloths, and my ninja equipment. You want to know what really caused me to focus so much on training now before we had missions? It's because when I graduated the academy I no longer qualified for the orphans fund, so all my money I have now is coming from mission pay, which is why after you and Sakura leave the Hokage office I stay and get another mission to earn more money just so I can pay my bills and my ninja equipment, which means with me all the time on missions, the only time I actually have to train is before Kakashi-sensei arrives. Shocking Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto saw the shocked look and said, yeah, that's my oh so great secret, Sakura, that you had to insult my friendship with someone by thinking that the only reason I have a friend is because she's being paid to. But answer me this, Sakura, how many actual friends do you have? I mean, everyone saw how you broke your friendship with Ino over Sasuke, so why should they be your friend if you would throw them away just for a guy who isn't interested in a relationship now at the age of 14, much less at the age of 9? I tried to be your friend even after that, and all I got was hit and insulted, just like I tried to be friends with Sasuke the only way he wants a friend, and that's by being his rival. Sasuke blinked and Sakura said his rival. Naruto said, yeah, anyone with a brain can see that Sasuke wants to get strong so he can avenge his clan, so he will want friends who are also strong and will challenge him to get stronger so that he can reach his goal. I may not be as smart as both of you, but physically I am stronger than you both. I mean, come on and actually think a minute. I outran Umbu for hours when I pulled my pranks, and my stealth skills are so good that I could paint the Hokage monument in broad daylight wearing orange and not get caught until after I finished and banged my paint cans together to get the attention of an entire village full of ninja, and then outran them all across the village until Iruka finally caught me. I still don't know how he is able to find me when no one else. I need to ask him that sometime. Kakashi said Iruka is a sensor. A sensor is a special type of ninja that can track other ninja by their chakra signature and often are able to tell different ninja by their chakra. As he saw the three questioning looks, Naruto stopped in his tracks and Sakura asked, what's wrong, Naruto? As she saw the shocked look on his face, Naruto frowned and asked Kakashi-sensei, how does one tell if they are a sensor or not? Kakashi looked up from his book and asked why. As he eyed Naruto carefully, Naruto said, well, I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but whenever I pulled my pranks and the Umbu tried to set up traps for me by shoe shining ahead of me, I could tell when they went from being behind me to in front of me and would always change direction to avoid them. It's this weird feeling like a tingle in my mind, but it only worked on ninja. It never seemed to work whenever I was trying to escape villagers. Is that a sensor, or is that something else? Kakashi said, Naruto sidestepped to the right just as a clone of Kakashi appeared behind him, shocking all three Genins, and Kakashi asked, why did you move? Naruto said, I don't like when people get behind me after last time. As he glared at Kakashi. Kakashi said, but you were already moving before the clone appeared. Naruto said, it's that thing I told you about. I just felt someone was. As he sidestepped again as another clone appeared behind him, and he glared at Kakashi, who released the two clones and said, you might be one. I don't really know much about sensors besides they're annoying as hell to capture or evade depending on if you're trying to get to them or away from them. I'll mention it to Hokage-sama and see what he thinks. Perhaps it's something you got from your mother, whoever she is. As he turned and started to walk away, Naruto's eyes got wide a moment as he understood what Kakashi meant, and Sakura asked, why couldn't it be his father? And don't you mean was? I mean, if he's an orphan, doesn't that mean she's dead? Naruto paled as his eyes locked onto the form of Kakashi and thought, my mother's alive. Kakashi shrugs his shoulders and said, honestly, I don't know. It could have been his father or mother, and I don't know if they are alive or dead or both. I mean, I don't know who Naruto's parents are, since there was never any males listed as Uzumaki before in Konoha, since they were originally a clan from Whirlpool Country before it was destroyed by the Hidden Mist Village during the Civil War in the Land of Water. I don't know if Naruto is in fact a member of that clan, and no body of a woman named Uzumaki was found after the Kyuubi attack. Since Naruto records say he was born on October 10th, she would have had to have been in the village to give birth to him. He could have actually been born the day before, and they just never got to fill out his birth certificate until after the attack. I don't know. Sakura asked, how do you know that there was no Uzumaki body found? Kakashi said, everybody that was recovered from the Kyuubi attack was identified, and I memorized the names of everyone who died that day like most Jounins, since we were responsible with telling the families if their loved ones were dead or not. Naruto asked, if it is possible I am a member of that clan, are there any other members out there? In a quitter voice, Kakashi said, I don't know, I doubt you are a member of that clan though. I've met an Uzumaki clan member once, and she told me every member of her clan had red hair, but it's possible that you are and simply look like your father or a mixture of both. I don't know as for any other Uzumaki, it's possible, but I can't say for sure. Whirlpool Country was destroyed during the civil war going on in Water Country and was absorbed into the Land of Water. The survivors fled to other countries or fought on, so I can't say what happened to them. Naruto thought mom had red hair and she might be alive and there might be more family out there. Sasuke said, you said the Uzumaki were a clan, did they have a bloodline? Kakashi was silent a moment and said, I don't know if it actually was a bloodline, but I do know the Uzumaki were famous for two things. One, they were excellent kenjutsu masters, and the second was they were all sensors, but I really don't know. I am just telling what I either experienced or read. I could be wrong or misinformed. Sasuke and Sakura both looked at Naruto, who said, well, either way, Kakashi-sensei, I thank you for at least giving me something to look into someday. Even if I'm not a real member of the Uzumaki clan, in case I was just given the name for some reason, but if I am really a censor, I'll try to honor them either living or dead by becoming the best I could be at both Kenjutsu and chakra sensing. Sakura looked down and bit her lip and said, Naruto, I'm sorry about earlier. I guess that you changed so much after we graduated. I couldn't understand why, and I might have been a bit jealous also, since I don't actually have any friends anymore. All I have is a rival in Ino. Naruto smiled and said, well, how about we start over as a team, all three of us? I'll help both you and Sasuke out, and you both help me out. What do you say? Sasuke said, oh, and how could you help us out? Naruto said, well, I can tell you both the other secret to the tree climbing exercise, and also help Sakura get her friendship with Ino back as well, while not having to choose over who will wind up with you, Sasuke. Sasuke thought a moment and said, alright, deal. Naruto looked at Sakura and she said, if you can deal. Naruto nods and walks over to a tree and put one foot on the tree, and said, the secret to this is that it's not a race to the top but a goal to achieve. Put your foot on the tree and practice just with one foot until you get the control for it perfect where you stick before going to the next foot, and slowly work your way up. Once you can do it without thinking about it, it's just basically running laps up and down a tree after that to build up your stamina. As for your friendship, Sasuke, the last of his clan with a bloodline, that means he gets to have more than one wife, lover or girlfriend, so you both can share. The shocked looks on Sasuke and Sakura face was priceless, and Kakashi laughed as he saw Sasuke, who was excited as he understood the secret to getting the exercise before he paled right before Sakura shrieked in happiness and kissed Naruto on the cheek. Naruto laughed as he rubbed his head and Sasuke said, I hate you, Naruto. Naruto said, what are rivals for team making each other's lives hell? Now come on, my rants due next week. As he laughed and began to run toward the Hokage tower, shocking Sasuke and Sakura since Naruto hadn't put back on his weights, and both looked at each other and Sakura asked, when did Naruto get so fast? Sasuke said, damn, I guess he really can outrun Umbu. Kakashi looked at them and thought actually that was fast, but not as fast as Naruto can be since he's just lightly jogging. Naruto true speed should be way faster than that even before he began weight training. After Team 7 chased Tora and Naruto got another mission, he was leaving the Hokage tower when Kakashi walked up beside him and said, good job on making peace with your teammates, Naruto. As Naruto stepped out of the tower, Naruto frowned and said, I didn't do it for them. I did it to repay you for not only all you did for me when I was younger, but what you did today. As he winced as he grabbed his head, Kakashi saw this and said, I figured as much, but still you should think you did it for yourself also. I mean, Sasuke and Sakura seem to respect you now some. Naruto looked down and said, for how long? Until I do something they don't expect, until I served my purpose. People don't change on an instant. Maybe someday I can count them as friends, but for now I'll just take them as teammates, but I will still keep my secrets and my guard. As he began to walk away, Kakashi said, why? As he looked at Naruto, who looked back, rubbed the palm of his hand against his temple and said, because it hurts worse when you're betrayed by someone you trust. Been there, done that. As he walked away, Kakashi looked down and thought, just try, Naruto, not everyone will betray you. As he left in a swirl of leaves. As Naruto walked into the Yamanaka flower shop, Inoichi looked up and blinked and said, hello Naruto, what are you doing here today? Need something? Naruto said, actually, is Ino around? I was wanting to talk to her about something. Ino heard her name came out of the back and said, oh, it's just you, Naruto, what do you want? I was busy. Naruto crossed his arms and said, I came here to make a deal with you, Ino. Inoichi looked on curiously and Ino said, oh, what kind of deal, and why should I care? Naruto smirked and said, because I can give you the two things you want most, your friendship with Sakura and Sasuke as your boyfriend. Causing Ino to go wide-eyed and Inoichi to look at Naruto with narrowed eyes. Ino said, and why should I believe you? Naruto said, because I also know your secret. The one you kept from everyone. The real reason why you were second highest kunoichi in our class. What do you think would happen if Sakura were to find out that you let her have first place out of sympathy, and she didn't actually earn it? Ino eyes widened and Inoichi said, I don't like this conversation, and I don't think I want you here, Naruto. Naruto said, please give me 5 minutes, Yamanaka-sama, let me at least tell you what my deal is, and then if you want, I will leave forever and never approach you, your daughter or business again. Please. Inoichi frowned and Ino said, all right, what is this deal? Naruto grabbed his head above the right side of his head and winced as he said earlier today, I told Sakura that Sasuke being the last of his bloodline in the village, he can have multiple wives, lovers or girlfriends because of the clan restoration law, which means that you and Sakura can have your friendship back if you are both willing to share. Now that is between you three, and personally, I don't care about that, but what I do care about is since our teen class graduated, Sakura has been letting her skills get weaker and weaker, always trying to impress Sasuke with her looks and afraid to even do enough to break a sweat, much less actual training. Our sensei finally had enough and showed us the chakra control exercise, tree climbing. He told us that we won't get a higher ranked mission until we can go up and down a tree 25 times in a row without stopping, and Sakura has trouble even doing it 3 times. What I want is for you to renew your rivalry with Sakura, but not over a guy, but over who the better kunoichi is. I am willing to slip the information to you about Sakura current level so you can work to beat her level, and that way everyone will win in the end. If you and Sakura decide to share Sasuke, then he gets 2 strong kunoichi to start his family with who can keep all the other girls away from him. You both get strong enough to protect yourselves on mission and earn the respect of your fellow ninja. Your teammates won't have to worry about protecting you as much, afraid that you're the weakest member on the team, and Konoha gets a pair of strong kunoichi to show the world the strength of the Leaf Village. Ino thought a moment and Inoichi said, what do you get out of this? I mean, I don't see why you would want Ino and Sakura to do that. Naruto said, a friend of mine pointed out that most of our ninja who die on missions are because they had to continue to do missions after they should have retired because they had nothing else to support them. You and your family have this flower shop, and Sakura right now has her parents' merchant business, and Sasuke has his family wealth, but I am working myself to death doing 2 to 3 missions a day just to pay my bills and get the things I need to survive. If my team were able to get higher ranked missions, then I won't have to take as many missions, and I can focus more on my training and hopefully find something else to help support me, because if I become injured, odds are I will starve to death on the street homeless unless I can do something now while I still have a chance. By having Ino push Sakura to get stronger, Sakura will work harder to push Ino to get stronger, which will make you happy because you won't have to worry as much about her taking care of herself, and I can help myself get stronger as well, so someday I might reach my goal of being Hokage. Like I said, in the end everyone wins. Ino said, but why should I do it? I mean, I can just be Sakura friend and we share Sasuke. Why should I work myself to get stronger so Sakura will get stronger? Naruto smirked and said, because someone has to be the one to get the first date, the first kiss, or be the first to marry him. In the end, yours and Sakura competitive nature will force you to fight each other either in a battle of words or a battle of skills. With my help of telling you Sakura levels, then you can make sure you come out on top. If not, Sakura might just sneak past you and take Sasuke all for herself. I mean, why share when you can have it all alone? Nothing is forcing Sasuke to have more than one girlfriend, he just has the option to, and Sakura is on Sasuke team and gets more chances to impress him than you do. What if her skills outshine yours? Ino said, like hell I will let forehead beat me. As she put her hands on her hips. Naruto asked, then do we have a deal? You become Sakura rival in her ninja skills, and I will be your little spy so you know how hard you have to work to beat her. Ino said, fine, you got yourself a deal. Naruto said, good. Sakura will most likely be able to do 25 times up and down a tree with the tree walking exercise by the end of next week. Now I got to go. I hope I can still do missions for you in the future, Yamanaka-sama. Inoichi said, Ino, would you step outside a minute? I want to ask Naruto something private. Ino frowned and walked outside, and after the glass door closed, Inoichi said, alright, I admit the trap you just set up for her was good and I can see how there is no downside for her, but what I want to know is why are you really doing this? Naruto said, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Team 7 isn't a team, we are just 3 people stuck together to do a mission. Sasuke thinks he always right because of his clan. Sakura will always agree with Sasuke wanting to impress him, and both think I am too stupid to know anything or do anything right. Ino will push Sakura to get stronger, and Sakura will want Sasuke approval and constantly bug him about her progress and what he thinks, which he will try to avoid or ignore, which gives me a chance to do my own training and go about my own life, so that way I can hurry up and reach Chunin and request a transfer to another squad or begin doing solo missions, maybe the Hunter Nines or Umbu. Inoichi asked, that still doesn't seem like a reason for you to go out of your way to come here today. Naruto frowned and said, because of me taking extra missions, I have to take the 3 hours we are waiting on Kakashi-sensei each day to train myself as best as I can. Sasuke and Sakura see me doing this, and they are starting to think that I'm getting tutor lessons from ninja, and that I only became a ninja because of the Hokage and me being so close to each other. They are also starting to think the only way I can have a friend is if the person is ordered to be my friend, and I can tell they are already thinking about spying on me to learn what I know, as well as spying on my friend, which might cause them to stumble across certain classified info, which Sakura, being the gossip queen she is, will get herself killed after she spread the word around. Sasuke only cares about power to kill whoever it is that killed his clan, and will most likely think of me as a stepping stone to test himself and will try to kill me. Either way, my life will basically be over, so the only way to protect myself is to distract them, and the only thing that could distract both that I could think of was Ino. Inoichi frowned and said, so you used her to protect yourself. Naruto closed his eyes and said, do you know the reason the Sandaime hasn't stepped down and found another replacement and will still be in office when he dies? It's because he known for years, like I figured out that the Godame will most likely do 3 things: 1, have me killed or banished; 2 is turn me into a weapon like other Jinchuriki and possibly breeding stock; or 3 is put me in political marriage. He couldn't stand to face the Yondaime when he dies and tell him that he cursed his legacy to those fates while living. The only way I will find any happiness or joy in my life is to get it while Gigi is alive, because the rest of my life is cursed. How many people on the council with you either see me as a demon or Konoha weapon? Inoichi frowned as he looked at Naruto and said, you're different, Naruto. Something's happened, because you weren't like this a couple of days ago. Naruto said, a couple of days ago, I didn't know I was dying. As he covered his mouth, realizing what he said. Inoichi's eyes widened and said, what do you mean you're dying? Naruto said, look, I need to get going. I got a mission to complete. Sorry for bothering you. As he quickly ran out the door, nearly knocking Ino over, and Ino walked in and said, Dad, what's wrong? What did the baka say to make you yell like that? Inoichi frowned and said, nothing, Ino, I just remember something and I need to go take care of it. Watch over the shop until I get back. Ino said, fine, but I want you to tell me what Naruto said. Inoichi said, just wanting to know if he could get another mission, dear. Nothing to worry about. As he left. When Inoichi got to the Sandaime office after getting in to see him, the Sandaime said, hello Inoichi, what brings you here today? Inoichi bit his lip and said, sir, is there something wrong with Naruto that you haven't spoken about? The Sandaime frowned and said, no, why? Inoichi then explained about Naruto's stop at his shop, and the Sandaime said, I don't know what he's talking about, it's probably just stress getting to him from all the work, but I'll have my doctor do a checkup on him and ask him just to be sure it's not something he hasn't informed me about. If he thought it was enough of a secret to act the way he did, he might not be willing to tell even me about it. I'll check into this, but I ask that you keep it quiet until I can. Inoichi nods and left, and the Sandaime said, find me Naruto Uzumaki and bring him to me. Naruto was about to enter his apartment when 4 appeared, and Naruto frowned and thought, damn. After being brought to the Hokage tower and the dismissing them, the Sandaime said, Naruto, I am sure you're wondering why you're here. Naruto said, Yamanaka-sama came by and told you what I said, didn't he? The Sandaime nods, and Naruto sighed and said, don't worry about it. My body is perfect fine and will live until it's killed or dies of old age. The Sandaime thought over what Naruto just said and asked, I'll be the judge of that now. What is going on, Naruto? Everyone who interacts with you has been telling me about how you have been changing in the last couple of weeks, as well as the fact you seem to act like you got a headache all the time. I want answers, and you're not leaving until I am satisfied. Naruto glared at the Sandaime and said, answers? How the hell can I tell you that I hate my fucking father guts and that I wish the bastard was burning in hell? But don't worry, he will be back here in the land of the living soon, and I'll cease to exist. The Sandaime's eyes widened and asked, what do you mean? In a concerned voice. Naruto said, the bastard cheated death. He didn't get his soul sealed in the Shinigami like you said he did, but instead sealed his soul into the seal. I told Kakashi about how it seemed I wasn't actually learning seals, but actually relearning them. I couldn't figure out what it was until I found this. As he raised his shirt and pointed to the seal and said, that's a soul-binding seal. Of course it would be on a seal holding a demon, but why is it separate away from the main seal, especially when there is already another soul-binding seal in the seal? The answer is my father didn't like sacrificing his life and wanted another chance to live and sealed his soul into my body and is slowly replacing my soul, which is why the knowledge I am getting of things I don't know, having never encountered it or should know, is his knowledge. The Clan Restoration Act, I never even heard about it, but it came to me earlier today, and I mentioned how Sasuke should fall under it, and that is only one of a handful of things. I have had strange memories popping up. Kakashi mentioned how his teammate was killed and gave his eye. I know what his teammate looked like. Obito wore goggles over his eyes and Rin was an Inuzuka. How could I know that when he never told me those details, and I never seen a picture of them? How do I know my name came from a book wrote by Jiraiya? The only answer I can come up with is the bastard is taking over my body, replacing my soul with his, and when he does, I'll cease to exist. My greatest fear growing up was cease to exist, and now I find out that fear is coming true. As he had tears flowing down his eyes by the end. Sarutobi looked at the crying teen in front of him and said, I don't know what to say, Naruto. I'll contact Jiraiya and have him come to look at the seal, and if you are right, see if we can somehow stop that from happening. Naruto snorts and said it won't work. To seal it off you would have to seal off Kyuubi chakra, which would kill me because you can't block something under pressure without causing it to explode, and why would he want to stop his greatest prodigy that he saw as a son from returning to the land of the living when he couldn't even come once to check on his godson? Now if you don't mind, I want to go home and get some sleep. Maybe I'll see you again, maybe not, but then who's going to care when I'm gone? In a tired voice. Sarutobi looked down and said, you can go, and Naruto, I'm sorry. Naruto left and Sarutobi began to write on a scroll and bit his thumb, flashing through hand signs, and said Kuchios no Jutsu. As a monkey appeared and he said, take this scroll to Jiraiya as quickly as possible. The next few days went quickly by for Naruto, with the Sandaime not saying anything about the confession Naruto had, but giving Naruto a sad look as Naruto came in with Team 7 for missions and then went to the woods to train. Everyone seemed to tell there was something wrong, as the way he carried himself seemed to have changed, where he was kind and soft-spoken to everyone he met and even went out of his way to help others. Naruto was sparring against a Kage Bunshin using Kenjutsu when a memory from a bird who was in a tree came to him and all the other birds in the area, as well as the Kage Bunshin he was fighting. A small smile came to his face, and after a few minutes, he jumped back as a kunai hit where he was a moment before as his Kage Bunshin went up in smoke. Tenten appeared grabbing his sword. The Kage Bunshin dropped and slashed at Naruto, who blocked, and she said, you got pretty good at detecting thrown weapons to dodge that. Naruto snorts and said, you weren't really aiming at me and only needed to nick me to see which was real. You had 5 minutes to aim also since you first arrived. Tenten eyes widened and she slashed again and said, so you knew I was there, huh? Naruto said, I have Kage Bunshin watching around the area in hiding, making sure no one spies on my training. As he slashed at her and she blocked before they both began to pick up speed, slash and block with no real pattern. After 30 minutes of this, both were sweating and panting slightly, with Tenten being the one panting more, and she went for a reverse slash to the right, which Naruto blocked, pulling both swords above their heads as he moved in closer to Tenten, forcing her smaller frame to fall back, but she used her feet to trip him, causing both to fall, and Naruto letting go of his sword to grab Tenten and turn her where she would fall on top of him instead of him on her, and as they hit the ground, Tenten held the blade she had in her hand against his neck and said, I win. With a victorious smirk. Before she had a chance to move, Naruto knocked the sword away from his neck to over his head and flipped them where she was on the bottom and he was on top of her, and with him holding her arms at the wrist, which she was still holding the sword, and he asked, do you? As he looked into her eyes and saw the almond color, and Tenten tried a moment to get free and started to open her mouth to speak when her eyes went wide as she found herself being kissed by Naruto. She tried to get her hands free but were still being held down as she tried to move her head, but found she couldn't because of her arms that had been holding the sword above her head. As she tried to get free, she moaned, trying to speak as Naruto continued to kiss her. She felt her body responding to the knee that was rubbing gently against the crotch of her shorts, and before long her mind was losing the battle to get free as her body betrayed her, and she closed her eyes and slowly started to return the kiss. And as her body got more and more turned on, she didn't notice the hold on her hands was now gone and her hands had moved to Naruto hair, running her finger through it. Before she moved her hands to the bottom of his shirt and began to scratch at his back as her fingers traced the muscles of his shoulder. They continued to kiss and Tenten's hand roamed across Naruto's flesh, not noticing that she had been moved to the one on top as they continued to kiss as her body approached its first orgasm, which soon went into a second before she passed out from the treatment of her body being pleased, even though it just from the kissing and the treatment his knee gave her, as well as the exhaustion she had due to the spar they had. As she woke up, she found herself leaning against the chest of Naruto, listening to his heartbeat, and found that she was sitting on his lap and they had been moved over to a tree which he was leaning against. She looked around and saw blood slowly forming around Naruto's eyes that had closed, as well as slowly leaking out of his nose and ears, and she said, "Shit, what's going on?" As she tried to wake Naruto up and couldn't, so she began to scream for help before making a decision and going back to town to get help. Several hours later, Tenten was in the waiting room of the hospital when the Sandaime walked out and said, "Tenten, please come with me." Tenten got up and followed him and soon came to a room where Naruto was in with 4 hooked up to him and bandages around his head, and she asked what was happening to him. And thought, did I do that to him somehow? The Sandaime who had closed the door said, "Has Naruto told you about his dying?" Tenten's eyes went wide and screamed, What do you mean he's dying?" As she looked at the Sandaime. The Sandaime winced and said I guess he didn't want anyone to know Naruto had been examining the Kyuubi seal and he discovered that there is another soul sealed inside of Naruto as well as the Kyuubi. Based on the information, he told me one of his greatest fears was coming true. He believes the second soul is his father. Minato sealed his soul into that seal and is replacing his soul with his father, so he believes that he is going to cease to exist while Minato takes over his body at this point. I do not know if that is Naruto in the bed now or if it is Minato in that bed now. What was happening to Naruto is he was having brain swelling from information overload. I shouldn't do this, but if it is still Naruto and you want to, I can allow you to stay here with him until he awakes, because I figure you have the best chance for telling if it is him. Tenten said thank you. As she got up and moved to where Naruto was and saw he had several bandages around his head covering his eyes and ears. She frowned and thought, how much do you have to suffer, Naruto? As she sat down in the chair next to his bed and looked at him sadly as she gave his hand a comforting squeeze. Several hours later, Tenten awoke to the sound of waves crashing against the shore and an old church-type bell ringing, and she blinked a few minutes and saw the sun shining down on her, and she sat up and found herself on a beach and saw an ocean, and as she looked around she saw a small pool of water in the middle of the sand, and she saw a lighthouse not too far away with a bell hanging on it and a rope going inside the lighthouse which was being pulled from inside. And she thought, where am I and how did I get here? She got up and looked around and did not recognize anything and thought, it looks like just a beach with no trees or anything but sand, water, and that lighthouse. I guess I'll have to go there to get answers since someone is ringing that bell. As she started to walk toward the lighthouse. When she got there she knocked on the door and said, hello, anyone there? As the bell rang some more and after knocking a couple more times frowned, and she slowly opened the door and blinked and said, what the hell? As she saw another beach with a giant whirlpool in the center of it, and she saw a woman with red hair sitting near the whirlpool waving at her, and she looked at the lighthouse walls again and thought, weird. As she walked over to the woman, who smiled and said in a kind voice, hello. Who are you, if you don't mind me asking? Tenten frowned and said it's proper respect to give one's name when asking another's. The woman tilted her head to the side and said, is it I've been here so long alone, I guess I must have forgotten that. Well, I'm Kushina and you are? Tenten said, my name is Tenten. Where are we? As she looked around. Kushina frowned and said, I'm sorry for asking, but is your last name Ukami? Tenten frowned and asked why. Kushina rubbed her temples and said, you're definitely Evi's daughter. You got the same look she had when she didn't like something someone asked her. Look at you, you look like you're 15. What the hell going on, Minato? Why the hell is our goddaughter here after 15 years and our son isn't? Tenten thought a moment and thought, Minato, but that's the name of Naruto, dad, and her eyes widened and said, what the hell's going on? You Naruto mother, aren't you? Kushina said, why are you so upset? Didn't Minato or Dustin tell you how to activate the seal on your neck to get here? Didn't they explain how this works? As she looked confused. Tenten frowned and asked how it works. The last thing I remember was sitting by Naruto's bedside after that bastard you called a husband tried to kill Naruto by taking over his body, and now I wake up in this strange place. Kushina said, whoa, slow down and don't get upset. Look, I know this may sound crazy, but I've been stuck in this place since the day my son was born. I don't know what you're talking about taking over our son's body. What the hell is Minato doing, and why hasn't he placed the whirlpool lighthouse seal on Naruto so I can be in his life like he was supposed to? Tenten blinked and said, you don't know. In a questioning tone. Kushina asked, no what? Looking confused, Tenten said the Yondaime Hokage died sealing the Kyuubi no Kitsune into Naruto October 10th, nearly 16 years ago. Kushina paled as she covered her mouth and said, oh god, oh Minato, oh Naruto, what's been happening to my baby? Please tell me everything I must know. In a frantic voice. Tenten said, well, this is weird, sure. As she opened her mouth and Kushina said, wait. Tenten looked confused and Kushina asked, you don't know about this place, do you? Tenten shook her head no, and Kushina sighed and said, I don't know how much you know about your family past or the past of the people of Whirlpool, so I will give you a little explanation so that you will understand what this place is and how we are here. The land of water is not actually as it appears on most maps. It is actually a chain of islands that is constantly changing due to the tides, weather, and other things. A road today will be a river tomorrow and a mountain the next day. It is this reason why the land of water was originally known as Whirlpool. However, around 100 years ago a group of pirates landed on the north side of the island and set up a pirate port, and they began to take as much of the land they could until they were stopped. The land they were able to obtain is what became known as the land of water, while the rest of the land was still known as Whirlpool. Now in the land of Whirlpool, the protectors and leaders of the land who defended the people there from the pirates were the Uzumaki family. Because of this, the people of Whirlpool loved and respected us, including the Ukami clan, who were a clan of blacksmiths. In fact, there was a long-running joke that the day an Ukami runs out of weapons is the day the world ends. Tenten blushed and said, "So it's not just me." Kushina laughed and said, "No, in fact, your mother carried close to 7,000 weapons on her at a time. I told her once she loved them more than she did Dustin." Tenten smiled a little and said, "So what is this place?" Kushina said, "Oh right, well you see the Uzumaki clan were originally fishermen until the pirates came, as most of the life in the land of Whirlpool revolved around the water, and as such we developed a bloodline that allows us to detect chakra even in the slightest form. It allowed us to find fish, and if people went overboards, we could find them quickly and rescue them. It was the second reason that this was created." As she waved her hand around, Tenten said, "I don't understand, what is this?" Kushina raised her hair and said, "You see this seal? Each Uzumaki had this seal placed on them when they were 10 years old so that they could help the people and their family. This seal is a link to this. I guess you could call it a genjutsu, but it can't be dispelled as it's powered by each person who has this seal on them. We called this place the Whirlpool, and the place you woke up to appear here is called the Lighthouse, but it actually is your mind. The ocean you saw was your memories, like the waves of a sea. They could crash onto the shores, and if you touch them you would see a random memory. Then there was the pool of knowledge, where everything you know, not the things you remember but your actual knowledge, is stored in that pool. The island itself represents your will, your spirit to live. The bigger the island, the more will to live you have. Last is the weather. It represents your emotions. If you are calm, the weather is calm. If your emotions are upset, the weather is upset, which causes the sea to swirl and throws memories at you like they do when you are upset. Do you understand so far?" Tenten nods and she said, "So what is this for?" "I mean, I understand what you said so far, but I don't get it." Kushina said, "Think of this, everyone who has this seal on them could come to this place and speak as we are now. Now imagine an Uzumaki on hundreds of ships searching for a single ship lost at sea. How far of a range do you think we could cover by being able to use this to talk to each other regardless of the range between us?" Tenten eyes widened as she understood and said, "But how did I get here?" Kushina thought a moment and said, "This place has several secrets that I will tell you about later. I know you have the seal on you because I placed it on you as an infant after your mother passed away. I know you mentioned how you were with my son before you got here, and I also want to know about my son's life, so what you can do is show me your memories of my son, and from that we can figure out how you're here." "Deal." Tenten blinked and asked, "But how do I show you my memories of Naruto?" Kushina said, "Like this." As she walked over to the whirlpool and put her hand on it, and the whirlpool changed and showed Kushina holding Naruto right after he was born for several minutes before Minato drew the soul-binding seal on Naruto and Kushina sealed herself into it. Kushina stood up and said, "This works like the ocean in a way, but you can control what you see or show others. You can either just think about something and every memory of that will show up, or you can choose specific memories and those will show up. Just place your hand on the whirlpool while thinking about what you want me to see." Tenten thought a moment and said, "All right." As she walked over and placed her hand on it, and the whirlpool changed and showed the events at the cabin when Naruto learned about the Kyuubi, then Tenten talking with her dad about Naruto going to Naruto apartment, the events at the academy, talking in the woods, then the makeout session causing Tenten to blush, the Sandame telling about Naruto, confession of what he thought was happening to him. Then it showed as Tenten sat beside Naruto as he rested and her falling asleep next to him. When it was over, Kushina, whose face had become neutral during it, looked at Tenten and said, I know what is happening and has happened. I also know how you're here now." Tenten said, "Then will you explain it to me?" Kushina sighed and said, "They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions." In Naruto's case, that was true. Minato was an orphan who never knew who his parents were, and he felt terrible about that all his life. It was a wound that never actually healed for him. When we found out I was going to die, we discussed ideas about how to help Naruto not feel the same pain Minato felt by me not being there. We had came up with a couple of ideas. One was this, where I would seal my soul and body inside this seal on Naruto's stomach, and Minato would draw the whirlpool seal on Naruto, and it would link us together with you as well, so that way I could not only be there in Naruto life, but also yours, to try and help you in areas where Evie would have been there for you. We had talked about a few other ideas, the what ifs and whatnots you get when you know you might not live to see another day. One idea Minato came up with was a family scroll with all our knowledge, but he was afraid of it getting stolen and used against our family, and so he came up with a set of books. 10 in total, that could only be opened by a member of our blood. Each book is all the knowledge he has on each subject the book is about. A book on chakra theories would be all his knowledge of chakra control manipulations, chakra theories and things of this nature. The book on sealing would have all his knowledge of sealing in it. The longer a blood relative holds onto the book, the more he or she would get the knowledge from it, but if anyone else touched it or read it, they would only see normal subject the book is about and not get the knowledge of it. They were not meant to be absorbed quickly, which is what I believe has happened. I think if I only had some way to, I would kick Jiraiya, Sarutobi and Dustin ass for abandoning Naruto like they did. Tenten said, so how am I here, and why are you mad with Dad? I mean, he didn't do nothing. Kushina said, exactly. You and Naruto were supposed to grow up together and form a bond so that way you both would have a loving and happy life together when you were husband and wife. Even with that other girl being added in. Dustin knows all this, and yet it's not until Naruto 15 years old that you finally meet Naruto. After everything that happened and everything I meant to Dustin and everything I sacrificed to him and he abandons my son, I really should have cut off his dick after he took my cherry like that. Tenten paled and said, whoa, wait a minute, you had sex with my dad, wait, marriage? In a shocked voice. Kushina said, yeah, him, Evie and me caught a ship to escape from the land of Whirlpool when it was attacked and we didn't know if the Miss Ninja were still after us, and if so how long we were going to live. Your dad came to me and tried to comfort me, and he pulled this stupid crap about how we could die tomorrow and asked if there were things I regret not having a chance to do, and he asked me if I wanted to die a virgin. Normally I would have beat the shit out of him, but I was so upset seeing all our friends and family die I gave it and took the chance to be with him. Turns out he pulled the same line on your mom earlier that day, and let's just say he blew it when he was with me. Tenten said, you don't mean, with wide eyes, as she covered her mouth. Kushina nods and said, he only lasted 30 seconds before he lost it and passed out on top of me. Evie came in and lost it, and we both beat the shit out of him for using us that way and playing on our moment of weakness, but we got our revenge. Tenten said, really, how? Kushina smirked and Tenten thought that's where Naruto got it. And Kushina said, well, for the next 3 months we made him think we were both pregnant from that day even though we weren't, and made him wait on us, cooking our dinner, massages, working to pay for our food and clothes, taking us shopping visits to the hot springs. We took him for everything he had. Tenten laughed and said, serves him right, so what now? You never did tell how I was here and about this marriage thing. Kushina said, oh right, well, you know how you fell asleep by Naruto. I think your hand touched the seal on Naruto's stomach linking you and me so we could talk here and now. If you move your hand away, the link will be lost unless you put the whirlpool seal on Naruto, and once you do then he can come here and he will actually power the seal for him and me. Since the seal is on him, it might also give us both a chance to enter his mind and help him recover from all that knowledge being shoved onto him. So will you help me so I can finally meet my son? Tenten thought a moment and said, first, I want you to know I like someone else and don't like Naruto that way. If you agree to let me and him work things out ourselves, I will, but I won't be forced into some arranged marriage. And what other girl? Kushina said, that can wait till later. I need to teach you the seal so you can put it on Naruto's neck before something happens and we lose our link. Tenten nods and Kushina began to draw the seal on the sand while explaining it to Tenten. When Tenten awoke, she found herself laying over Naruto's stomach and blushed as her hand was resting on his crotch and thought must make sure never to tell Kushina or Naruto that wow, he really is big bad thoughts. I like Neji, damn it. She shook her head and turned Naruto over and blinked as she looked at Naruto's neck and thought he has the seal, or wait, it's missing the relay seal. As she got out a bottle of ink from a scroll she had on her and began to draw the relay seal. Once she did, she sent chakra into the seal and said seal. A moment later she heard the bell ringing in her head and closed her eyes and sent chakra into the seal on her neck and appeared on her beach and ran to the lighthouse and inside it and saw Kushina, who said, so it worked. Tenten said, yeah, he had the seal already, it was just missing the relay seal. Kushina bit her lip and said, I see, let's go over to Naruto. As she pointed toward the new lighthouse and Tenten said, why is the whirlpool so much bigger now? Kushina said, oh yeah, the more people connected to the whirlpool, the bigger and deeper it gets. It's based on how many memories the person has. Let's go see my son. As she walked to the lighthouse. When they got to the lighthouse, Kushina frowned and said, the only way to enter someone's mind without permission is if 2 or more people tried to enter it using this. That is why I told you that you didn't have to worry about me entering your mind. Tenten said, but now that Naruto is connected, couldn't you both come into my mind? Kushina said, we could if we both agreed to do it, but I know how personal a girl's mind is and would not do so unless it was a life or death situation and would make sure that you knew we were there. He's maybe my son, but you're also my goddaughter. I won't betray one for the other. Tenten smiled and said, thank you, godmother. Kushina nods and places her hand on the door in motion for Tenten to do the same, and as she did they both pulled the door open and gasped as they saw the sea was up to the door, with the sea being a storm with black clouds, lightning and rain.
Thank you for your views, likes, subscriptions, and overall support of my ongoing efforts to bring great content to all of you. Check out my Patreon for more mature fanfiction. The link is in the description and like everywhere on my channel.